please be seated. Thank you very much, honourable members. Order. Honourable Minister, can I just get an indication if we're waiting for the department, if we can continue? We will continue. The Secretary will read the 5th order of the day.
Vote 14, Local Government, Western Cape Adjustment Appropriation Bill.
Thank you very much. I recognise the Honourable Minister, Minister Bredell.
Honourable Speaker, the wheels are coming off in South Africa. Crime is out of control. Eskom is broken. Our trains are not running. Our harbours are in chaos. Towns are running out of safe drinking water, and municipalities throughout the country cannot even perform the most basic services, such as refuse collection and road maintenance. Honourable Speaker, the national government has also broken our government financial systems. And the last nail in the coffin was the nationally negotiated wage increase for civil servants, for which there is no money. Speaker, just to remind the honourable members in the House, the Western Cape province is a corner in South Africa where the provincial government, led by the Democratic Alliance, is still trying to do what is right for its citizens. Speaker, to shelter and to protect our people from the chaos that is the reality in the rest of the country, this government is focusing on resilience. Energy resilience, water resilience, government resilience. Speaker, this is the context for this adjustment budget for the Western Cape Department of Local Government. The department's budget for 2023-2024 is adjusted from 370 million to 414 million. The department will receive an allocation of 64 million to pilot renewable energy solutions for municipalities. This is our response to the unreliability of power supply from Eskom. We know that towns and regions with reliable energy supply will attract investment and support job creation in the private sector. Water resilience. Speaker, we are on the eve of our summer holiday season, and our tourism sector depends on thousands of locals and international visitors to come to our coastal towns. Knysna on the Garden Route used to be one of these proud tourism towns. Currently, under the leadership of the ANC and the PA, there is no drinking water, and refuge is piling up in the centre of town. Speaker, the decline of this town is a disgrace and a tragedy. We, as the provincial government, together with neighbouring municipalities, are supporting the town with water and refuge emergency services. But the local leaders of Knysna is missing in action. Speaker, we have identified water resilience as a major risk for this province, and as such, we are implementing a 15-year integrated water resource management plan for all municipalities. The plan also looked at current water infrastructure and water sources and helps municipality to plan and to budget for the future. This is also available for Knysna. Please come to the table. Governance resilience. Speaker, in the Western Cape, local government get clean audits because we realize that financial management and discipline is the foundation of good service delivery. We are maintaining this proud track record, except for a handful of municipalities such as Beaufort West, Kannaland, and Cederburg. Honourable Speaker, we continue to work with them to improve. During the last audit, 21 municipalities received unqualified audits with no findings. 6 municipalities received unqualified audits with findings. It is concerning that the Department of Local Government sees an adjustment of 6 million rand in employee compensation. This is a risk to the sustainability of the department, and as it can impact negatively on critical appointments going forward. Honourable Speaker, also of concern is the reallocation of 6 million rand over the 2024 medium-term economic framework of the funding of project management support to the rollout of Sustainable Infrastructure Development and Financial Facilities Program, CDAF. The CDAF is a powerful tool to support local municipalities in planning and presenting mega infrastructure projects for international funding entities. Speaker, as our national government continues its decline under the ANC, we will in future become more and more dependent on alternative sources of finance for large infrastructure projects, and we must be ready for this future. Speaker, I want to thank the department for their commitment and dedication under the leadership of the HOD, Graham Paulse. And I want to thank my ministry for their support. I thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Honourable Minister Bradell. I recognize the Honourable Dugmore.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Thanks to MEC Bradell for his input. As the African National Congress, we do not support this adjustment budget vote for the Department of Local Government. It's clear that DA cadre deployment, in inverted commas, continues to happen in DA-run municipalities, and that also DA political interference in our municipalities continues unabated. And I would like to share with this House an affidavit which directly implicates MEC Simmers, who is also the leader of the Democratic Alliance in this province. And I quote from the affidavit, which says, Councillor Steenkamp clearly stated, this is now a DA councillor from Kannaland, that she was under tremendous pressure from MEC Simmers to follow the instructions pertaining to the appointment of Keith Dine as acting MM. Now, this is not the MEC for local government. This MEC Bradell is the MEC for local government. But here is this MEC directly intervening. I continue. I got the sense that MEC Simmers wanted to have Jordan appointed at all cost, and he was leaving no stone unturned in getting Jordan appointed as the acting MM of Kannaland. There was a determined effort from Simmers in pursuit of this endeavor to have Jordan appointed as acting MM. During the meeting and after the meeting also, Councillor Steenkamp, a DA councillor for that matter, colleagues, emphasized that she is under tremendous pressure from MEC Simmers to get Jordan appointed. Steenkamp literally begged us in this regard. Now, here you have an MEC who is trying to do his job, but
Honourable Dagmar, please take a seat. Honourable Chief Whip of the Majority Party, is that a point of order?
Yes, it is a point of order, Speaker. Speaker, I rise on Rule 59. It cannot be that the leader opposition quote from a affidavit that none of us has seen, and he must bring a substantive motion, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honourable Deputy Chief Whip. Honourable members, the Chief Whip rose on Rule 59. I'm listening very carefully. I think that the leader of the opposition has stated that he's reading from an affidavit, so he's not making those allegations. I will consult Hansard and revert back. Honourable Leader of the Opposition, I'm just again cautioning you that if you want to bring the attention of the House to any improper behavior or motives to any member, to please do so through a substantive motion. But I will allow you to continue.
No, thank you. And just to share with the House and
Honourable Dugmore, please take your seat. Honourable Dugmore, please take your seat. Honourable Vimbi, is that a point of order?
Is on the possibility of the House being misled, because Rule 59 says no member may impute improper motives on, B, reflect on the integrity or dignity of, or verbally abuse another member, 2, A member who wishes to bring any improper or unethical conduct on the part of another member to the attention of the House may do so only by way of substantive motion comprising a clearly formulated and properly substantive. So Honorable Dagmore has done none of those.
Honorable, thank you very much, Honorable Mvimbi, for order, members, members, order members. Honorable Mvimbi, I have ruled exactly as you read the rules. Thank you very much for reinforcing the ruling. Honorable Dagmore, you please continue.
Very much. And the affidavit goes on to say that Jordan was eventually appointed as the acting MM on the 21st of October 22, but shortly thereafter, his appointment blew up in the media for the blatant illegality attached thereto. Jordan was ineligible to be appointed to senior management in local government because he was found guilty of financial misconduct at his previous employer, the George municipality. And it goes on to say Simmers was previously a councillor of George municipality, and he knew that Jordan was subject to an internal disciplinary hearing and subsequently found guilty of financial administration. This is clearly a case where the opinion of a politician, Simmers, was allowed to subvert the basic procedures of public administration. So this is what we have. Because when, for instance, through you, Chair, MEC Bradell talked a bit about energy, this very same leader of the Democratic Alliance, who is here as an MEC, had a situation where another friend of his, and now I'm saying this directly, that the mayor of Hessequa, Mr. Grant Riddles, was recorded, and those recordings are with the Democratic Alliance. And in those recordings, the mayor of Hessequa, Mr. Riddles, is heard telling a housing beneficiary of the very portfolio of MEC Min, no, don't worry if your income is not right. Jy moet net daar skryf dat jy het nie inkomste nie. That is a situation where this MEC that I'm referring to, the colleague of MEC Bradell, is the MEC for housing, and his own mayor is recorded as telling people to commit fraud. What has the Democratic Alliance ever done about that? And there is a case, Mas nommer 5306-2023.
Honorable Dagmore, honorable members, Honorable Dagmore, order members. Honorable Dagmore, I wish to just draw your attention to the relevance of the budget. So I'm listening for that. We are nearly 4 minutes into your speech. Can you just get back to the budget? Order members.
There is much in the budget about allocations to electricity, but yet the other day with the same mayor, and this is about local government, it's about the budget, and in fact in the adjustment, the premier of this province was standing with the mayor of Hessequa, someone who is openly accused and has a case against him for fraud, announcing a new energy project. Now, the concern through you to MEC Bradell with all of the energy so-called resilience efforts, I don't believe that our department and the MEC are paying enough attention as to what happens to the revenue stream from a municipality that is selling electricity once you have alternative power producers without proper thought as to what the cost of that electricity is actually going to be. And that is affecting the budgets. And it will affect the budgets because we know, and this is a stat that we quoted yesterday, because people are actually paying less for Eskom power than they are for City of Cape Town power. Because there's evidence, and we have the proof of that, that for every 100 Rand, when you buy electricity for 100 Rand from Eskom, we all know that you will get 42 units when you're buying from Eskom. Say you live in Kraaifontein, but Eskom is providing. You're getting 42 units. But now you're living in, say, Bellville, and you're buying your electricity from the DA-run City of Cape Town. For that same 100 Rand, you're only getting 23 units, which is literally half. Now we have energy resilience, and we're paying tens of millions to consultants, and not a single consultant, including in the Hesokwa project, can tell us how much is that electricity actually going to cost, and how much less of a revenue will the, and I think this is a critical issue, because in the adjustment, Speaker, we are spending money on these issues and we don't know the consequences. So I also want to say that why we refer to cadre deployment and the issue of interference. There is an MM in the Garden Route District Municipality, also a close associate of MEC Simmers. His name is Monde Stratu. And it is clear that this particular official has received 5 million rands more than he was actually entitled to as the MM. But because he's a DA deployee, there is no consequences. And even one of our councillors has had to go to court because of the Garden Route District Municipality has had to go to court because they've been intimidating her for her work in impact. This particular council of ours is doing work on impact. She's asking questions, but the very DA leadership in that council are intimidating her because the truth is starting to come out. So what you have,
Honorable
and this is
Dagmore, your
why-
time has expired.
this is why
Please
there's no
conclude.
hope. This is why there is no hope. Want hulle is skurke.
Thank
Die
you.
DA is skurke.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Honorable Dagmore. I now recognize honorable members. Please, the next member will participate through the virtual platform. Honorable Klaas. Honorable
Thank you,
Clark.
Speaker. Thank you, Speaker. I am now opening my file. I will be quickly talking to you about this. And it is clear that okay. The 2021-2022 Audit General Report on the Western Cape 6 municipalities showed a requested in the audit accounts. These are the municipalities which receive unqualified audit, which findings. The highlights concern include adequate performance indicators, deficiencies in project delivery, irregular expenditures, and incomplete reportings, among other things. All this happened before the provincial government department, which is trusted and mandated to monitor, coordinate, and supporting municipality in the province in the fulfillment of their service delivery mandate and disaster resilience. So if all goes wrong, it means that this municipality department was caught sleeping and is useless. It is not enough, certainly not wise, for this municipality to brag about the municipality which obtain clean audit outcomes, whereas other municipalities are neglected. It is not a mandate of this department to selectively assist certain municipalities, of which majority is with DA government, and neglected those where the DA remains the minority. The majority of the DA-run municipalities do not make provision of emergency houses. However, they are not quick to run to court to demand eviction orders of our people in the municipality. The dilemma that comes when the court orders eviction and directly this municipality to offer alternative accommodation as close as possible to where the people currently reside. In the most cases, the municipality caught in this conundrum.
Honorable Klaas, your time has expired. Please conclude.
Then the painful part about all of this is that it comes to the cost of taxes money being wasted. For this
Thank
reason,
you very much, Honorable Klaas. Your
will
time
not
has
support
expired.
this vote.
Thank you very much. I
you.
recognize the Honorable Seleko. Honorable Seleko, I've recognized you and your time is running.
Thank you very much, Somlomo. Good afternoon. Goeiemiddag, Medagani, honorable members of the Western Cape Provincial Parliament. Firstly, Speaker, let me start on a sad note and convey my sincere condolences to one of the councillors in KwaZulu-Natal, who was a chief whip of Umgeni Municipality, Councillor Ndlovu, who has unfortunately succumbed to death within this week. And also convey my sincere condolences to the African National Congress on their loss yesterday. And also want to congratulate, I'd like to congratulate the previous speaker for sinking the Titanic ship and being an iceberg yesterday in Saldan. Honorable class, congratulations on beating this organization that is failing. Ons wag net vir die reek want ons weet hulle sal klaar doen het. Speaker, also what is important, also I would like to also add a few or 2 minutes of my time on the lecture that was sponsored by Honorable Doug Moore and Member Nkondlo on the issue of gender-based violence. And you know why I want to be one of the appointed speakers in this particular subject is because of they only talk and no action. And I want to, because Honorable Doug Moore, through you, Speaker, has been the chief negotiator for a coalition government in Waterskloof. Yeah, he was a chief negotiator. I was there. When I first had my meeting, I left, and then he entered with Gayton, and then they negotiated, and then they contributed to the state of affairs that is currently taking place in Waterskloof. Let's deal with the issue of gender-based violence. It's very disappointing. When I wrote a media statement, you know, about one of their leaders and member of the Provincial Executive Committee of the African National Congress, who has been alleged and attended court twice for hitting an employee in Waterskloof. To my surprise, none of the members of the PEC has actually come out and rebuked.
Order, members. Order.
They were there.
Honorable Seleko, please take your seat. Honorable Kama.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Speaker, I would like you to call the member to be relevant to the debate that we are having, which is the budget vote of local government. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Kama. Thank you very much for trying to assist me. I don't need assistance from the floor. I'm listening very carefully, and I'm going, and as part of being consistent, I will allow the same latitude as I did for the leader of the opposition. Honorable Seleko, please continue.
No, Speaker, thank you very much. We are dealing with local government here. And it's important because we take the tune from the leader of the official opposition. He is leading and we are following. And also, Speaker, what is important is that I just want to show what the ANC, they always just talk but no action. Because one of the issues, let me tell you, Speaker, through you, the ANC know very well that there has been something that has been trending about gender-based violence in a municipality that is governed by them with our coalition partners, where employees has been suspended left, right, and center, where females have been victimized with their support and they're keeping quiet. And now they come to this house, Speaker, and they want to.
Honorable Seleko, honorable members, Honorable Seleko, I was going to ask you to start turning to the budget now. You may continue.
Soos hulle sê die waarheid maak seer, en hulle kan dit voel. From the inception of these debates, we have consistently heard phrases such as, and I quote, absorbing of the wage bill and budget cut, unquote, echoing through our discussions. In face of the substantial budget cuts, thanks to the usual suspects and the near liquidated ANC, we remain undeterred. Our commitment to accountability and effective governance has driven this DA-led government to reprioritize funds, leading to a substantial increase in the development and planning program spending. In stark contrast to DA governance, provinces governed by the ANC and their allies have been employing cadres and unqualified individuals in key municipal positions, jeopardizing proper service delivery for residents. To give you just one example how they manipulate systems in terms of appointing cadre, deployment officials, what they're currently doing, Speaker, in our municipalities, they are actually suspending competent people so that they don't get an opportunity to apply. And what they do, they would actually appoint their own members and then and force unions in agreeing with them so that they can actually shortlist people who does not have qualifications. And that's what is happening in terms of cadre deployment. They are also doing this, Speaker, in terms of cadre deployment, exploiting the need and the plight of the young people in our municipalities via EPWP. They appoint them and then on weekends they must go and sign up memberships. That's what they do in their municipalities. What a shame, what a scandal. We must put an end to this practice to ensure the people of the Western Cape receive the quality services they deserve. Speaker, it is not surprising that when the department fulfills its constitutional obligation in ensuring good and accountable governance, the ANC spreads their propaganda en verdry die waarheid. Dit is typies ANC taal en tekens van 'n sterwende party wat enige iets sal doen om aan die lewe te bly. Sis. I'm proud to share that the Western Cape has earned the most clean audits opinions from the Auditor General, receiving more clean audits than the rest of the country combined. The dedication to transparency and effective management sets us apart. While the ANC-led provinces and municipalities face collapse, the DA province continues to be the shining example of good governance. Somlomo, despite facing a reduction of 2.88 million from the equitable share allocation, this government has diligently managed the aftermath of the disastrous public wage bill that caused these cuts. It is therefore critical that we get back our money from the national government, and the Western Cape government has rightfully initiated intergovernmental dispute against the national government. We further understand the importance of fiscal responsibility, and we are committed to navigating through challenges to safeguard the province's well-being. Speaker, I further welcome the allocation of 64 million towards the pilot on renewable LNG solutions for municipalities. This is indeed investment is a continuation of this government's commitment towards addressing the energy crisis caused by a visionless, focusless ANC-led government. As we approach 2024, I want to emphasize that this is our absolute last chance to save South Africa from disaster. The residents of the Western Cape hold the power to make a difference by voting a government that works, like the Democratic Alliance in the Western Cape. We stand united in our commitment to clean governance, accountability, and the well-being of our people. The Democratic Alliance will forge with determination in fighting for you, the residents of the Western Cape. The DA supports this budget. Baie dankie, enkosi kakhulu.
Thank you very much, Honorable Saleko. I now recognize the Honorable Minister, Minister Bredell.
Honorable Speaker, thank you very much. I want to start off with the Honorable Klaas. I struggled to hear you, Honorable Klaas, but I do accept that you had a very exciting and long evening. So I think that you're on the wrong budget of 2021-2022, if I heard you correctly, as well as the wrong budget vote. This is local government and not housing. But to the Honourable Dartmoor, Honourable Chair, it's very sad that the Honourable Leader of the Opposition is actually misusing freedom of speech to get to another colleague in this House where he knows that the Public Protector is investigating, and let's then wait and see for the outcome, and my colleague will be found innocent. And I can tell this House that never ever has my colleague expected me as the Minister of Local Government or requested anything from me to do outside the realm of the law and the rule of law, because we're very strict on the rule of law. We want all municipalities to work, and we will do our utmost best to get them to work, because that's to the benefit of the people. That's why we want Knysna to work, although we're not in control, because it's about the people of Knysna. And I understand that the NEC will come down this weekend and meet with the structures of the ANC to discuss their by-election. But they must ask them to postpone that investigation, and the Honourable Leader of the Opposition must get in his car and go to Knysna, because where we must try and make 30 municipalities work, they've got one to focus on. Come and help us to get Knysna's water back on standard. Come and help us to get the sewage up and running. Come and help us to clean up the town, so that we can show the people we care. And then, Honourable Speaker, they can claim the victory, because we understand that the people is not blind. But they won't come to Knysna. They won't come to Knysna. And if they come to Knysna, they won't find their own people there, because they run away. They don't know how to fix the problems. Honourable Chairperson, and then if we look at the cost and the cost of electricity, the cost is actually much more than just electricity. We're very worried about the whole municipal bill at the end of the day. And the Honourable Member of the Opposition must really go and look at the municipalities where they're in control. Beaufort West, Kannaland, how their levies and their tax, it's a concern for all of us. But to the electricity, I can tell the Honourable Member that at least in the city of Cape Town, we do have electricity. So yes, maybe it's more expensive, but at least there's energy. Eskom doesn't have. But what the Honourable Member of the Opposition also hides away, like he's very selective with the truth. If you go to the census, the province that is the best basic services, as well as the most free basic services, on all basic services, electricity, sanitation, refuse removal, is the Western Cape. Now, if we've dealt with the poor and we give them a dignified life, services for a dignified life, the rest must pay, Honourable Speaker. That's discipline. The rest must pay.
Order, members.
There's no such thing as free basic services, Honourable people. Honourable
Order.
Speaker, and maybe we must be clear on this. No, what I'm saying is there's
Order,
nothing.
Minister, speak to me. Order,
Honourable
members.
Chair, there's no such thing as free basic services. Somebody pays, okay? So our free basic services to the people who cannot afford services is to secure us the dignified life to them. Those who can pay must pay. That's discipline.
Order, Minister,
And
please
we
take
will
your
put
seat.
the systems in place.
Minister, please take your seat. Honourable members. Honourable Minister, please take your seat. Members. Honourable members on both sides of the House, you are drowning out the Minister on the floor. Honourable Nkondlo. Order, Honourable Maran. Honourable Maran. Honourable Maran. Honourable Maran. Colleagues, the Minister is on the floor. You've all had an opportunity to contribute to this debate. It's now the Minister's opportunity to respond. My apologies, Minister, you may continue.
Agbare Speaker, Die waarheid maak baie seer. Ons droom vir ons mense is eintlik om die pakket van gratis basiese dienste
Honourable Minister, please take your seat. Honourable members, we are nearing the end of this vote. If you don't agree with the content or the input by the minister, there's other mechanism available to you to challenge that. But for now, the minister is on the floor and the minister is the one that has an opportunity to respond. Honourable Minister, you may continue.
Honourable Speaker, ja, ek het gelukkig baie tyd. Honourable Speaker, ons droom vir ons mense is om basiese dienste, gratis basiese dienste te vergroot, want ons het studies gedoen. Om vandag 'n menswaardige lewe te hê, moet jy eintlik 150 eenhede krag hê. Jy moet eintlik 10 kiloliter water hê. Die rede hoekom ons nie daar kom nie, is omdat die ANC die land faal. Die ANC faal die ekonomie. Die ANC het ons land so korrup gemaak dat ons nie die ekonomie kan bou nie. Dis soos wanneer die agbare Dakmor was vreeslik vandag op basic income en hoe die DA nou mense se lone nie wil betaal nie. Hy praat nie oor die 34% mense wat nie werk het nie, wat geen lone het nie, danksy die ANC. Danksy hierdie mislukte regering van ons. Agbare Speaker, ek sluit af deur my agbare voorsitter te bedank vir sy oorsigrol, vir die rol wat hy speel om op ons tone te hou, en ten laastens aan die agbare voorsitter ook, dat wat die agbare oppositie nooit sal erken nie, is die ondersoeke wat gelei het tot aksies in DA-beheerde rade, want ons het ook stout kinders, soos in 'n Mosselbaai en 'n Garden Route, en in George, was geïnisieer deur my, deur ons wat die Hawks ingestuur het, en hulle tot orde geroep het deur ondersoeke. En as iemand moet tronk toe gaan, sal hulle tronk toe gaan, want ons gaan nie korrupsie verdedig nie. Dankie, Speaker.
Baie dankie, agbare minister. Honourable members. Honourable Maran, that's the end of the debate. Honourable members, that brings us to the end of the debate or this vote. Can I just get, Minister, is there anyone else that you're waiting for? Can we go? The Secretary will now read the 6th order of the day.
Debate on Vote 8, Mobility, Western Cape Adjustments Appropriation Bill.
Thank you very much. Can I get some order before I recognize the minister? We are now on a new vote, colleagues. I recognize the Honourable Minister of Mobility, Minister Mackenzie.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, Honourable Premier and fellow Cabinet members, Honourable Leader of the Opposition, Honourable members of the Western Cape Parliament, our Head of Department, Ms. Marissa Moore and her team, thank you for being here this afternoon. People of the Western Cape, the ministry staff joining us today, and my Chief of Staff from home, thank you for being here this afternoon in our first adjustment budget vote. We have a devastating backdrop to this 2023 Adjustment Appropriation Bill, with national government crippling the Western Cape's budget and ability to provide services to the people of this province. Our residents have every right to the same services as the rest of the country, and we are fighting for what is owed to them. It is unfathomable that the ANC national government has cut our budget in a way that takes away healthcare services from those with no other options, takes away education from children hoping for a better future, and takes away refuge for those in desperate need of social services. Speaker, as if the ANC Western Capes are day visitors here in this province from Cloud Cuckoo land, it is as they don't live amongst us and feel the impact of national ANC policies on us every day, and yet they enjoy the lifestyle delivered by a competent and clean DA-led government. It is for them to decide, are they on the side of the people of the Western Cape, or are they on the side of the national ANC? Because they can't have both, and they can't continue their dual citizenship bouncing between this province and Cloud Cuckoo land. I want you to close your eyes for a minute, colleagues. I want you to consider someone just coming and shutting down your local clinic, closing your child's school, dismantling the construction project providing jobs for your community. This is what the ANC national government has done. Speaker, the only logical conclusion is the ANC Western Cape does not wish to serve the people of this province. The ANC Western Cape supports cuts to school buildings. The ANC Western Cape supports cuts to infrastructure. The ANC Western Cape supports cuts to NGOs. The ANC Western Cape supports cuts to hospitals and clinics. The ANC Western Cape supports the punishment of people of the Western Cape. The ANC Western Cape hates the people of the Western Cape. What else can we conclude? When it comes to mobility, honorable members, we must remember that the current fiscal situation compounds the existing crisis for transportation in South Africa. Our rail system has collapsed due to the plundering of PRASA and Transnet, amongst other entities meant to provide crucial services for citizens. Shameless plundering by ANC cadres, as confirmed by the former member of the ANC yesterday in his resignation letter, a member that has been an ANC member in good standing for more than 60 years. According to Stats South Africa, over 1 decade between 2013 and 2023, there's been a 90% decrease in the number of passenger trips taken on South Africa's rail network, going from 422 million passenger trips between Jan and September 2013 to just 29 million passenger trips during the same period in 2023. It is no coincidence that during these 10 years, the Passenger Rail Agency of South Africa has been run to the ground by the ANC corruption, poor policies, and mismanagement. That is how transportation or mobility has collapsed under the ANC watch in the last 10 years. Hundreds of thousands of Western Cape commuters has been forced to seek alternative, less affordable transport options. Petrol and transport costs eats into people's livelihoods across the boards. The decline of freight network and logistics operations onto the road network, overburdening of the infrastructure, and exasperating road safety challenges, while communities in rural towns bear the brunt of increased volumes of trucks. Producers are battling to move goods to market because of dysfunctional port operations, threatening our economy, and businesses we need to create jobs and opportunity. Promises to formalize and subsidize the minibus taxi industries have been made by the ANC national government over the last decades. From the 1995 National Taxi Task Team to the 2020 National Taxi Lekgotla, addressed by none other than the president of the country, plans to formalize and effectively regulate the industry have not been materialized. I could go on and on and on. How the failure of the ANC national government in national transport or mobility as we know it has led to the crippling of the mobility in South Africa. Honorable members, we are also mindful of the very late Stats SA report on population growth and migration. We are now the province with the 3rd largest population in the country. Having surpassed the Eastern Cape, we have 16% of all international migrants in the country and over 1 million people who have migrated to our province from the Eastern Cape. We know there's an estimated population the size of Bloemfontein who will migrate to the Western Cape in the next 10 years. These migration dynamics alone translate into increased pressures to various facets of mobility, such as transport regulation, transport operations, and of course, traffic law enforcement. Speaker, if you consider the scale and complexity of transport and logistics in South Africa, and on top of the catastrophic fiscal situation, both which can be solely attributed to the ANC's mismanagement of this country, the task to improve mobility is colossal. In the face of these challenges, as the DA Western Cape government, we consistently punch about our weight, maximizing resources to deliver services and hope for our people. Our mobility team especially has a track record for delivering innovative solutions despite serious obstacles and constraints. We believe that a progressive and world-class mobility ecosystem is essential to grow our economy and enable access and opportunities to every resident in the Western Cape. This is what a responsible and empowering government delivers. A functional, safe, reliable, competitive and affordable mobility ecosystem lies at the economic growth, social and spatial transformation, job creation, well-being and safety of our province. It is a fundamental part of dignity for the citizens of the Western Cape. The creation of a new mobility department as of 1st of April this year demonstrate the Western Cape government taking action to realize our vision for enabling mobility ecosystem. We cannot sit hankies of her waiting on the ANC national government to fulfill their empty promises to fix rail and make progress with the formalization of the minibus taxi industry. We will continue to push for these promises to be fulfilled and supporting where we can, but in the meantime, we are at work on developing solutions with our partners. There are exciting private sector initiatives in the mobility space, and we need to enable these innovators to help transform these sectors. Harnessing technology is critical to resilience and being able to thrive in a changing world. Our department has demonstrated innovation and excellence in developing its information and technology systems. This includes the Integrated Transport Hub, which has developed beyond an internal system to be shared with municipalities and other role players to enhance safety in the province holistically. Our freight demand management system, which shed lights on the opportunities to tackle challenges for logistics and freight movement, it's a tool helping to navigate the Transnet mess at our ports and ailing freight rail. The DA Western Cape government stands in the gap and delivers where the ANC government has failed in many other aspects. For the 2023-2024 now financial year, I am proud of how our new mobility department has managed its budget pressures and have contributed to the Western Cape's overall budget pressures and overall shortfall caused by in-year budget cuts. Budget cuts which have been orchestrated by the ANC national government. It was so aptly put this morning by the Premier that there was a contract signed between the national government and all our 9 provinces. When you pass and approve the budget, which this Western Cape Parliament has also done, there is a contract that you signed for the year. And in here, willy-nilly, without notice, you decided to cut that budget. There is a budget that you cut into the services to people of this province and many other provinces. You have broken a contract that was approved by Parliament. And our colleagues on that side of the House don't seem to get it. Our department has prioritized the impact of the National Transport Operation grants with an additional allocation to 2.109 million rand so that this subsidy, which has not been sufficiently increased by the national government, can be maximized for providing safe, affordable, and reliable public transport for communities via our Golden Arrow bus services, which provide a great service to people of the Western Cape. An additional 60 million rand has been allocated to bolster the George Integrated Public Transport Network, our best-in-class public transport system, which is in a partnership between us, the local government, and our national government. It is also the first transformation project done in collaboration with the minibus taxi industry in South Africa. The Go George bus services is an excellent indicator of the tenacity and commitment of the Western Cape government to deliver services to the communities. Our transport operations team, led ably by Ms. Deirdre Ribbonaar, has spearheaded this project for 10 years, developing a world-class bus service covering 150 kilometers over 34 routes, employing almost 400 staff members, operating 4 million trips annually that can cover 70% of households in George. And we have to thank those teams that deliver an incredible service, newly launched for the people of Thembalethu. The most recent passenger satisfaction survey indicates overwhelmingly that passengers save money, they feel safe, and they can rely on getting where they need to be on time. That is how mobility works, and that is how you build an economy. This year, the team has succeeded with their service. The rollout was years in the making, but we have not given up or have not backed down for delivering this service to the community of Thembalethu so they can access our opportunities, education, social, and government service. The DA-led government sticks to its promises and delivers. Our dedicated and well-equipped provincial traffic services constantly go above and beyond the call of duty, using data and predictive modeling for more effective planning of operations. Our teams actively safeguard residents and visitors across the road network. I'm proud to announce that in 2024, our renowned Jean Low traffic colleges will welcome a new cohort of 120 traffic officers, building safety and well-being in the future of this province with an expanded provincial traffic services. That is what a capable and competent government do. These positions are in high demand, with more than 15,000 people submitting applications in response to the opportunity to be trained in a top quality facility in the country. Our DA-led Western Cape government creates opportunities and thrive. The impact and results of our provincial traffic law enforcement are remarkable. The investments I must learn from Gauteng, honorable member, the Gauteng provincial government does not have a traffic services. The Western Cape government is the only 24-hour provincial traffic services. A simple Google will show you, honorable member, and you've got access to the internet provided freely by the capable Western Cape
Order,
government.
members.
Western Cape Parliament
Order.
will show you in the last 6
Order.
months, their law enforcement officers has crashed 22 brand new BMWs. They did not get the enabling legislation by National ANC Minister Betty Cele, who was gallivanting at the World Cup using taxpayers' money, including for this executive assistant, while we were working to get the job done in the Western Cape. So there is absolutely nothing to learn from the Gauteng government. The impact and the results of our provincial traffic law enforcement is remarkable. The investment that we made in technology are equipping our officers, and they are bearing fruit. In the past year, we have seen significant reductions in our crash and fatality statistics over critical holiday periods. These officers will be focused on traffic enforcement and road safety, but the impact multiplies for the overall safety in communities in the Western Cape. Honourable Member, our Western Cape government is relentlessly pursuing economic growth to create jobs and opportunities for better life for residents in the Western Cape. The Mobility Department, in partnership with the Department of Economic Development and Tourism, has developed an innovative pilot project to address the barriers of transport costs to finding employment. We will provide free public transport to job seekers by leveraging our existing subsidy to Golden Arrow bus services, which primarily service low-income areas and is already running off-peak buses with underutilized capacity. So next year, if members of that side of the House don't make it, the job seeker free transport vouchers will be available for them as well to look for jobs. The job seeker transport voucher pilot project has been allocated 7.5 million rand in the 2023-2024 financial year. This is our commitment to improve access to job opportunities for everyone, including former members of this House. Honourable members, as we develop an integrated transport system in the Western Cape, we are clear that our mandate to provide sound regulation and enforcement to ensure the safety of all commuters. Unlike the ANC government, we have allowed the chaos in a poorly regulated and under-supported minibus taxi industry to devastate the public transport sector. In the Eastern Cape, we see the detrimental consequences of government not standing firm on the rule of law. The ANC has failed commuters and communities by handing over power to elements of the taxi industry to create chaos. The DA-led government is resolute in our commitments to address the complex challenges in the industry. Whilst we have a firm stance on regulation and enforcement, we also believe that the transformation and empowerment of the minibus taxi industry is a critical priority. Our minibus taxi task team was created this year to expedite progress on formalizing the minibus taxi industry, which is a vital part of our mobility ecosystem in the Western Cape. The minibus taxi industry is not going away. And as the Western Cape government, we firmly believe in working with them to formalize and supporting them. Following minibus taxi stay away in August 23, which caused the province billions of rands and many loss of life, the minibus taxi starting has been working intensely to address key issues to bring stability to the industry and find ways to improve existing service to our commuters. These include the review of the operating license conditions to provide increased clarity for transport operators and enforcement officials on the roadside. We are working closely with the City of Cape Town on an alternative operating model for ranking facilities to address key infrastructure constraints. The DA-led government is hard at work on solutions, taking responsibility for what is in our control. We are funding over 1 million rand towards a road safety implementation program, enabling undercapacitated municipalities to improve mobility and protect vulnerable road users. This includes 500,000 rand for non-motorized transport infrastructure in the Swartland and 570,000 rand towards integrated transport planning in the Garden Route District Municipality. Our Provincial Sustainability Program is a progressive program to show leadership in taking our mobility system into the future. One of the simplest ways of changing a person's life is by empowering them with a bicycle. This tool opens up opportunities by enabling you to travel further with many minimal costs, just bicycle maintenance. There is a myriad of proven benefits like physical health, mental health, safety, and social connections. In this financial year, our bicycle distribution programs continue to make a difference in communities across the Western Cape, distributing hundreds of bicycles to improve mobility and access to opportunities. The program works with partners organizations to ensure there is adequate support for recipients. I myself have taken up cycling recently and experienced all the benefits of being on two wheels powered by my own steam. It's incredible to see, thank you, Premier, and I'm encouraging my fellow colleagues on the other side to please join this as well. It is incredible to see the cities transforming around us. More and more food deliveries are being done on e-bikes. Courier and delivery companies using futuristic-looking electrical vehicles. More and more charging stations are being established. I have the utmost respect for the tenacious first movers who have been fighting uphill battle against the dominant car culture in our country. These green mobility champions might have seemed out of place and a hopeless minority a while ago, but just wait. One day soon, we'll wake up in the future and realize the world has changed. Honourable members, our government motor transport entity is a hub of innovation, having created the first electrical vehicle strategy in the country and making strides in greening our fleet of vehicles. The same team is also playing a leading role in developing a Western Cape drone strategy for drone usage, a mobility opportunity service or access service for our Western Cape government. This week, Professor Dr. Nomafren Chimbombo and I celebrated the latest milestone in our ongoing commitment to the safety and well-being of our communities through replacing and enhancing our emergency medical fleet services in our provinces. A tranche of 140 new and replacement vehicles, collaboratively customized by GMT and our EMS teams, have recently gone into service at EMS stations across the province ahead of a critical festive season. In a normal society, I would have said we do not want to use this service. But there is a festive season period, and unfortunately, there are going to be irresponsible users on our roads that will have to use this great service provided by the Western Cape. I want to take the opportunity and thank our new head of department, Ms. Marissa Boer, and our senior management team for the work to develop this adjustment appropriation under trying circumstances. I want to thank our CFO, Ms. Francois Devet, Mr. Renil Davis, and a team who have put in many hours to support the head of department in crafting our adjustment budget in this new mobility department. Speaker, the DA-led Western Cape government is about progress, responsibility, and getting things done. We are working hard with other departments to make sure that the economy and jobs are protected through connecting people and getting goods to opportunities. Mobility is rebuilding and developing innovative solutions for the future, focusing on moving forward no matter the challenges. We are doing this for the children and family who rely on us to enable their education, well-being, jobs, growth, and ultimately hope in the thriving province. And for the businesses, entrepreneurs, and informal traders who need certainty for their goods and dreams to make a success of their life. Honourable members and colleagues, I firmly believe in hope and future in our beautiful country. For all the deeply distressing problems we face, there are beacons of hopes of light where good people are working hard to turn our prospects around. A week ago, there was a flurry of excitement on social media as PRASA announced the resumption of the Shoshaloza Mail long-distance trains between Johannesburg and Cape Town, as well as Durban. These trains are the backbone of an affordable travel connecting families across the country. I welcome these signs of progress towards a functioning rail system with trains running smoothly, and I will continue to support my colleagues in national and local government to do what's in the best interest of our citizens. Today, I call on honourable members across the aisle to do the right thing and advocate to the national colleagues to take our transport crisis seriously. We need the national minister to show leadership and take action to formalize the minibus taxi industry, unlock the challenges in our port, and get both freight and passenger freight properly back on track. Instead of sitting here criticizing the highly effective DA-led government in the Western Cape, how about the honourable members get busy working on solutions to fix the problems the ANC has created? Speaker, to conclude, I want to illustrate the excellence and effectiveness of our mobility department to our most direct service offering for the people of the Western Cape. This festive season, we have over 583 provincial traffic officers deployed across the Western Cape. These men and women won't have a Christmas holiday with their families. No braai, no visit to the beach, no opening of gifts with their kids. They will be patrolling vehicles, keeping the N1, N2, R300, and any other routes safe for all of us. The influx of traffic in and out of the Western Cape will surge dramatically over the next few weeks. Our officers will be working hard to ensure that everyone reaches their destination and their loved ones safely. Our focus this festive season is highly visible enforcement on all roads targeting alcohol, fatigue, public transport, and speed. As far as possible, we aim to maximize enforcement coverage across our road network rather than being limited to static operations in certain locations. The festive season plan includes mandatory operation and specific intervention that are part of our alignment to our United Nations Decade of Action on Road Safety, with a goal to reduce road fatalities by 50% in the year 2030. Our operational priorities are also informed by advanced analytics and predictive modeling for each specific area. Our daily operations across the district in the province include high visibility across all areas, monitoring moving violation offenses, speed enforcement, including average speed over distance monitoring, and roadblock to detain drunk driving, driver fatigue, and passenger overloading, as well as enforcing seatbelt usage and checking documentation, driver fitness, and vehicle operations. On top of these daily operations, we have a comprehensive program of interprovincial corridor operations in collaboration with our neighboring provinces in the Northern Cape and the Eastern Cape. We also have driver awareness interventions focusing on alcohol for public transport operators and integrated fatigue operations on key routes. I want to emphasize that while our teams have enhanced programs and operations during these critical periods, they tackle these issues 365 days a year. These interventions are conducted on an ongoing basis. We strive for safer mobility through structured traffic law enforcement interventions with effective road safety education, communication, and awareness programs to positively influence all road users towards improved behavior on our road network in the Western Cape. The core function of our Traffic Management Chief Directorate is to reduce road fatalities on crashes on provincial routes by ensuring that all road users comply with the rules of the road. We do this through intensive enforcement. Honourable Member, I want to urge all road users to spare a thought for our dedicated officers in blue this festive season. They will be working intensively and tirelessly to ensure everyone arrives safely to their loved ones. We are just 1 week into the official festive season, and I'm dismayed by the reckless behavior we have seen on some parts of our roads. Behavior such as trucks operating on prohibited routes and creating dangerous obstructions when they get stuck, cyclists ignoring construction works on closed roads, and public transport operators putting the lives of passengers at risk. We have seen incidents of a taxi driver running away from a scene, including a bus driver. Our weekly provincial traffic stats tell the story of the real cost of this behavior. Last week, 18 pedestrians were killed out of a total of 34 traffic fatalities. 80 people were arrested for driving under the influence of alcohol, including the driver of a minibus taxi carrying 12 people. That is irresponsible and reckless behavior. One of these passengers did not survive the fatal crash the minibus was involved in, and further charges have been laid against the driver for reckless or negligent driving, amongst others. Those who take risk on our road must know that there are consequences. At the launch of our festive season road safety plan on Friday, I made it clear that our provincial traffic teams are prepared for the holiday season with close to 600 provincial traffic officers deployed on our roads. But no matter how effective, dedicated, and well-equipped these teams are, we need all road users to do their part in preventing traffic crashes. I would like to challenge my colleagues, honourable members, to go into this festive season as road safety champions. My message to you is to go out and spread this message, see for yourself, check that vehicles are roadworthy, buckle up, don't drink and drive, don't speed, and take rest breaks every 200 kilometers. These simple actions will keep everyone safe and alive this festive season. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honourable Minister. Honourable Douglas, is that a point of order?
Chairperson, Speaker, yes, I have a point of order.
What's your point of order?
The point of order, Chairperson, is a very serious one. I think it's a matter of public record in this House that we have always maintained that when you have a situation where someone is charged with serious charges, that person should have the benefit of the doubt to defend themselves and prove their innocence. You are very much aware of the fact that in our midst today, the Chief Director of Traffic stands charged criminally in the Cape Town court. It's not nonsense, it's the truth.
Honourable
And it
Douglas,
doesn't-
what's your point of
And it's
order?
embarrassing that the very
Order.
person, so I want to, my point.
What
of
is your
order-
point of order?
My point of order is that, my point of order is this.
I've got a question.
My point of order is this. My point of order is this. That Mr. Payne has every right to defend himself and prove his innocence.
Cannot attack people
But you cannot-
innocently.
Honourable Minister, please
have-
take a seat.
You cannot have an official sitting in this House who is facing 3 criminal charges. It's just not fair to the official. It's not fair to this House. It's not a reflection on this government, to the MEC. And I find it shocking that they are exposing an official to a situation like this. We cannot have an official of this
Thank you.
government who is charged.
Thank you,
He
Honourable.
has every right to prove his innocence. We've never said anything other than that. But you cannot have someone in
Thank-
this House who's facing criminal charges.
Thank you
I'm
very
sorry.
much,
I want
Honourable.
to object to that.
Thank you very much, Honourable Dugmo. That is not a point of order. And whoever is in the gallery or in this part or in this house is Honourable Dugmo. The point is, it's not a point of order, and I've ruled on that. And whoever is in this house is here because they are entitled to be here. I will now move on, and I recognize the Honourable Mvimbi. Honourable Mvimbi.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. After such a long speech, you will have actually, the provincial minister's speech was even longer than the premier himself.
Order, members.
Honorable Speaker, the ANC reject this adjustment appropriation of the Department of Mobility with the contempt it deserves. Honorable Speaker, the MEC last week tabled the medium-term budget titled A Budget to Build Your Future. No, Speaker, she probably meant a budget to build our future, referring to all of them in the cabinet. They are just building their own future as cabinet members. Speaker, it has been a disastrous year for the Department of Mobility, which was very weak and to a point of leaderless in solving the pressing matters facing our people in the province. Within a matter of 4 years, that department has actually had 4 ministers. So how is that for stability? 4 years, 4 ministers. The department revealed the deep-rooted historical divide that exists in the Western Cape, where the rich are on one side and the poor on the other. This exacerbated, entrenched, and exposed our outstanding fight to ever have an inclusive Western Cape under the DA-led government. A Western Cape where its people live in harmony amongst one another with equal treatment, not the one they currently face under the DA-led government. Honorable Speaker, in the adjustment budget for Vote 8, the department has shifted funds of 13.5 million from the compensation of employees for savings realized due to cost containment measures. This again is not far-fetched from their initial position towards the working class in the province, where they have the nerve to fight a bill that seeks to uplift the lives of our people through better wage payments. The department has been aware of employees who participated in strikes during the year in question, where this participation was due to failed wage negotiations. Honorable Speaker, these shifts of funds came at the expense of vacant positions, which the department has been reluctant to fill. What is also important to note is what was brought up during the committee by one of their own members regarding paid vacant position. Honorable Speaker, During the current financial year, the department made headlines for 124 traffic vehicles that have been purchased the previous year and had spent months in government garages without being utilized for their intended purpose. This comes at the expense of our people having lost lives in road fatalities, with an exacerbated increase of 22% in fatalities. Honorable Speaker, one must note that the DA-led government always does things on a competitive basis with the national government. We expect you to cooperate with the national government, not to criticize it, and actually not to compete with the national government. Because we are not the national government, we must accept that we are provincial government. And at the same time, they take resources meant for other program to create a program
Order,
to compete
members.
with an existing one. They started a program called Safely Home Program, similar to Arrive Alive, and pump resources into it, yet these funds do not yet yield the required results of decreased road fatalities. Instead of running a Arrive Alive campaign, they have a Safely Home that started more than 10 years ago. Every time I ask, what is this Safely Home program? Nobody can give definite answers on it. So please cooperate with national government. Don't compete with national government, because we are not national government. The vehicle purchased last year were
Honourable
to be
Mvimbi.
distributed to different traffic departments across the province, but the delay was caused by the fitting of cutting-edge technology, which includes license plate recognition cameras. The department tend to want to use money which it failed to utilize in the current financial year. This could be seen in the shifting of funds meant for goods and services to the transport equipment to the value of 604,000. Maybe we can expect another fleet of vehicles with this adjustment. Honorable Speaker, during the annual budget period, the department presented a program contribution that looked at improved public transport services, focusing on buses, passenger rail, and minibus taxis. This program is implemented through the Provincial Sustainable Transport Program, which focuses on increase and improve bus services. And in its wording, it says that they managed to help the bus services. But if you ask them what have they done for the taxi industry, they are quick to point you to national government. The Golden Arrow bus service contract for scheduled passenger bus services is administered by the Department of Transport and Public Works, which is now Mobility. Golden Arrow bus services operate more than 1,000 peak hour buses, transporting some 220,000 passengers daily. The department and GAPS work together and are subsidized to the value of 1.1 billion, and further added CCTV cameras on 80% of all the GAPS. The provincial minister, during the standing committee, when I asked about the taxi industry possible subsidy, the answer was obvious: national government. But they were very quick to provide 1 billion for safety plan. But for the taxi industry, they are not prepared to fund it. It signals and it illustrates a government. The safety plan illustrates nothing else other than a government that is paranoid of its people. You are afraid of your own people that voted you into power, and therefore you are making
Order, members.
a safety plan. That shows that we
Honourable
are
Mvimbi,
paranoid. That shows that
Honourable
paranoid
Honourable
of those
Mvimbi, please take your seat. Honourable Chief Whip, is there a point of order?
Speaker, can I please ask that the Honourable Mvimbi please speak through you and not point this way, Speaker? By donkey.
Thank you very much. Honourable Mvimbi, you may continue. Please, can I caution you and please speak to me?
It was quick for the provincial government to provide 1 billion rand for safety plan because it's a provincial government that is paranoid of its own voters. They are protecting themselves against their own voters. But when we said fund an industry that transport 2/3 of the people, there is no money for that. They go to national government. But for their own safety, for their own personal safety, they are quick to take 1.1 billion. But for energy alternative, because it's going to fund their own business friends, they are quick to take 1 billion rand. For the taxi industry, no money. The MEC during
Order.
So when I ask, he says that they will not be able to subsidize the taxi industry. This will be possible only if the national government fund it. So it shows that we've got a provincial government that is not prepared to deliver to its own respective people. Taxis are responsible for about 75% of public transport in the province and transport about 1 million passengers daily. They are also responsible for serving areas that are not often covered by other public transport or licensed as an operating route. About 22% of commuters use minibus taxi services and 9% of commuters use Golden Arrow bus services. My city and Sibanye are also part of that 9%. 58% of commuters use private transport while 10% walk. Honorable Speaker, the department launched a red and blue dot pilot program meant to incentivize.
Honorable Mvimbi, your time has expired. Please conclude.
So the ANC does not support this.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mvimbi. I now recognize honorable members. Honorable Klaas is online. I am asking for your indulgence. Honorable Klaas, I recognize you.
Thank you, Speaker. I'm left wondering, why will the mobility transport budget be increased by more than 23 million, only for those funds to be transferred to the Department of Infrastructure and the Premier? What is more puzzling is that some of Department of Infrastructure cut its own budget by more than 259.6 million in the same financial year. It does not make sense why on 30 November 2022 did this department terminated the Blue Dot Taxi program, which provided incentives and rewards improving driving and a good passenger service within the taxi industry. This was good initiative for the taxi industry and certain good passenger safety and reduction of accidents and fatalities on the road, as taxi drivers will not drive reckless while desperate to meet certain profit targets. Not only did this department cut the 215 million investment to the taxi industry under the Blue Dot initiative. Afterwards, it worked in collusion with the City of Cape Town under the tutelage of P.J. Smith to create chaos and instability within the taxi industry by beginning to impound taxis without valid reason and outside the bounds and scope of the enable legislation. While final taps are turned dry for the taxi industry in the province, Golden Arrow buses service continue to reap billions of taxi payers' money under the public transport operation grant, which flows from the National Department of Transport and the Provincial Department and straight to the private company. In the 2023 financial year alone, Golden Arrow received a whooping 1.1 million in the subsidy under this grant. Clearly, the Golden Arrow bus service gets preferential treatment over the Western Cape taxi industry as a whole. That is why. Oh, that is the
Honorable
reason the
Klaas, your time has expired. Please conclude.
This vote. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I recognize the Honorable America.
Thank you, Speaker. Honorable Mvimbi, if I'm you, I would have bowed my head in shame trying to criticize this department and this government for appropriating money towards creating a safer environment for our people. Because the Department of Transport and Infrastructure in the Eastern Cape, they did not only obtain a disclaimer audit opinion, they have incurred over 3 billion rand in irregular expenditure. And on top of that, they have incurred over 4 billion rand in fruitless and wasteful expenditure. Now, that is something that I would suggest you take up with your counterparts in the Eastern Cape and ask them to clean up their house. So therefore, Honourable Speaker, despite massive cuts to the budget brought about by an incompetent national ANC government, the Western Cape government under the leadership of the DA still found a way to shift money towards operational continuities and efficiencies, thus ensuring transport operations continue in the face of limited funding. so that we can build an interconnected transport system that gets people to and from work safely and cheaply. And amongst those shifts are, as the Minister has sort of stated, 15 million rand towards the Provincial Sustainable Transport Program, 2,109 million rand towards project management for public transport operations, inclusive.
Order.
Thank you.
Order, members.
Inclusive of that
Honourable
additional
members.
funding. Come now. Thank you. Inclusive additional funding of 56,686,000 rand towards the Go George integrated transport network for the implementation of phase 4A, and that's the transport route towards Tembeletu. And 1 million rand towards the road safety implementation program to make our roads safer for all. As the Western Cape continues to do more, the National ANC government continues to do less and less. So, Speaker, PRASA gave themselves a December deadline to fully reopen the Central Line in Cape Town. But again, like previous deadlines, this deadline had once again been missed. Since 2019, this line has been closed and little progress has been made to fully reopen this line. Let this sink in. In the whole of President Cyril Ramaphosa's presidency and in his various ministers of transport, they weren't able to open the most crucial railway line in the whole of Cape Town, which could see people getting to work for less than 8 rand in some cases. The national government does not want to fix the Central Line because they are scared of creating competition for the taxi mafia bosses who threaten a stay away whenever they don't get what they want. But this government will continue fighting for the full reopening of the Central Line because we want to get people to work cheaply. A transport system where people can use buses, trains, taxis, and bicycles to commute. Speaker, the cost of living crisis is becoming unattainable for people who can't continue to spend the majority of their salaries just to get to work. Fixing the Central Line would save our most vulnerable citizens almost 1,400 rand. As the cost of living just keep getting more unattainable, the national ANC government seems to have no solution. In fact, they simply don't care. To assist our commuter in the face of ever-increasing costs, one of the simplest solutions to combat the cost of living has been right under our noses this entire time. Unfortunately, it has become obscured by a lack of capable leadership and a lack of empathy for our poor citizens. Since the Central Line in Cape Town closed down in 2019, commuters are paying up to 4 times more for alternative means of transport. Using the taxi could be as high as 1,500 rand a month. A Golden Arrow bus ticket could cost about 900 rand a month, whereas a monthly train ticket costs a mere 175 rand. That means that if the ANC government seriously are committed to reopening the Central Line and stop playing politics and shifting blame, they could save our most vulnerable communities 1,325 rand per month. That means not having to choose between commuting to work or putting a plate of food on the table. Speaker, the ANC has failed the people of the Western Cape and should without delay allow capable governments i.e. the City of Cape Town, to take over passenger railways, so that the people can start getting back to work while not having to spend the majority of the salary on transport costs. The DA in the Western Cape welcomes the commitment by the Director General to work on allowing capable metros to run passenger rail. The DG knows that devolution of passenger rail is the only logical solution, but also the right thing to do. It is time for the ANC to embrace this opportunity. The resistance from the ANC-led national government to devolve rail services is deeply rooted in outdated Cold War Stalinist ideology of centralization, but a real fear that the DA will run passenger rail services far better than they ever could. Speaker, the total collapse of passenger rail services looms large, and it is real. The current state of affairs is dire, leaving people yearning for solutions. As the need for reliable and cheap transportation becomes increasingly urgent, it is high time we embrace the only logical approach, the devolution of passenger rail services. Communities like Khayelitsha, Langa, Nyanga, Heideveld, Netrecht, Bonteheuwel, and Mitchell's Plain have been left in the lurch, desperately seeking a lifeline to connect them to the heart of the mother city. Passenger rail not only holds the key to unlocking the potential of millions of people, but also offers the most affordable public transport options available. The DA in the Western Cape welcomes the commitment by the DG of National Transport Department and his commitment to working towards allowing capable metros to run passenger rail, and we are ready. So, Speaker, acknowledging this pressing need, the DA-led Western Cape government isn't simply sitting back waiting for the national government, but has taken up the mantle of creating an integrated transportation system. Our colleagues in the City of Cape Town have allocated a substantial 5.2 billion rand investment to expand the My City bus services. Soon, areas like Khayelitsha, Mitchell's Plain, Nyanga, Hanover Park, and many more will have the My City buses going up and down their communities and will no longer have to rely on expensive taxi trips. Moreover, the investment in My City is projected to create over 10,000 job opportunities in the Metro Southeast communities. This is playing out against the backdrop of the National Minister of Transport, who is more interested in playing politics with her ANC cadre comrades, to DG that recognizes that the devolution of rail has tremendous potential. So, Honorable Kondo, the DA delivers. Speaker, taking inspiration from success stories like the Go George bus services in George, the DA-run Western Cape is poised to revolutionize public transportation. Go George's remarkable growth showcases the transformative power of well-executed transport systems. Unlike PRASA, Go George has continued its upward trajectory, experienced a remarkable 20% increase in passengers within a single year, while operating 23% more routes. Another 256,686,000 rand will be spent on Go George this year to further improve the service. Under the leadership of the DA government, Go George remain the most affordable transportation option in the region. It is time for the ANC to embrace this opportunity. The evolution of rail services to the Western Cape represents an opportunity to realize long overdue promises and provide much needed relief to communities so desperately in need. So Speaker, die uitstekende werk wat gedoen word deur ons provinsiale verkeerswetstoepassers beamptes om misdaad aan te pak en ons wil hulle bedank vir die risiko's wat hulle elke dag loop om ons gemeenskappe veilig te hou en te beskerm. Hul pogings het gelei tot die inhegtenisneming van bykans R20 miljoen se onwettige goedere soos dwelms, perlemoen en gesteelde elektrisiteitskabels. Die DIA-beheerde Weskaap sal voortgaan om meer te doen om ons gemeenskappe te beskerm terwyl die Suid-Afrikaanse polisie diens aanhou om die mense van die Weskaap teleur te stel en te faal. Die afgelope finansiële jaar was 93 motoriste in hegtenis geneem vir pogings om ons wetstoepassers om te koop. 27 ongedokumenteerde buitelanders was in hegtenis geneem op ons provinsiale en nasionale paaie. Daarenteen was 494 inhegtenisname gemaak vir ander ernstige kriminele oortredings. Die boodskap is duidelik. Ons wetstoepassers doen hul werk en is nie omkoopbaar nie. My pleidooi is aan alle padgebruikers om die verkeersreëls te gehoorsaam en bedagsaam te wees teenoor alle padgebruikers. Moenie dronk bestuur nie. Wees lekker met jouself en met ander oor hierdie Kersgety. Reis veilig waarheen jy mag gaan en onthou, veiligheid op ons paaie is ons almal se verantwoordelikheid. Die Democratische Alliansie Speaker ondersteun die begroting. Baie dankie.
Baie dankie, Akbar America. I recognize the Honourable Minister, Minister Mackenzie.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I'm going to start on the point made by Honourable Mvimbi, and which was also made by Honourable Klaas online. First of all, let me just say congratulations, Honourable Klaas, for we eating that elephant one bite at a time, called the ANC. So well done on winning the ANC award yesterday. They are dying a slow death, and next year, some of them will have to apply for provincial traffic officers. So thank you very much for that. Honourable Mvimbi and Honourable Klaas, you both
Order members.
You both mentioned the subsidization matter, and I think it's important that we touch with it. And I want to repeat the numbers that I think Honourable Mvimbi made and yourself. But as said by General Minister General Becky Cele, you are crying at the wrong funeral. The facts, and I will repeat what my colleague said, the Honourable Member Mvimbi, and I paraphrase Honourable Klaas, had talked about, but I'm going to use my figures because it's better to research as far as I know. We give, Golden Arrow gets R1 billion, 220,000 passengers. The Gautrain gets R2 billion guaranteed at 30,000 passengers per day. That's the ANC. Rail currently transporting 90,000 passengers per day, which with the billions of subsidy they get. The taxi industry, as Honourable Mvimbi rightfully say, nearly 1 million passengers a day at zero subsidy per day. The only province, the only one out of the 9 that bothered to woke up one morning and said, how can we subsidize the minibus taxi industry, was this Western Cape government. Whilst the national ANC was sleeping, die ander 8 provinsies sit handjies gevou heel dag. Hulle kry disclaimers. Provincies. This DA-led Western Cape government, led by this government and their officials, came up with an innovative solution and try and fix a problem created by the ANC. So, Honourable Mvimbi, the best place to continue this debate, the best place to raise this issue like we do constantly is with the ANC national government. That 2 billion rand that goes to transporting 30,000 passengers in Gautrain should be going to the minibus taxi industry. I'm coming to the
Order.
safety plan because you don't seem to
Order.
understand why we had to implement the safety plan. Because your ANC has failed. Your minister, Becky Cele, has failed. Your minister, Becky Cele, who cancelled the gang unit when he was General Becky Cele, was the cause of us trying to implement the safety plan. But I'm going to respond to that on page 3. Let me deal with this one first. The reason, Honorable Wimby, is we are sitting with this problem is because the ANC national government has skewed priorities. The ANC national government has allocated billions of rands
Order,
to the
members.
failed South African.
Minister,
Let me-
please take your seat. Honorable Mvimbi, you had an opportunity to make your contribution to this debate. I've allowed you to make your contribution and the members accepted your contribution. The minister has now an opportunity to respond. You cannot be in dialogue with the minister. Minister, you may continue and please speak to me.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I'll speak to you. Can I just say the Honorable, 2 of the members retorted the argument is tired. That is the problem in this country. Facts don't change because the day you change it. If the honorable members used this opportunity 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, to heed our advice, when we were sitting, I was a backbencher there and said to them, please speak to your national colleagues, don't give 20 billion rand to SAA, hulle het hulle mond stil gehou. That 20 billion rand that gone to SAA could have gone to the minibus taxi industry, could have gone to fix public transport in the country. When we warned them, PRASA is a dead patient. The patient cannot be revived. They refused to listen. They went to conferences where the national minister, Fikile Mbalula, the national minister, Khadebe, they refused to tell their colleagues, please don't waste this money. En hulle luister alweer nie vandag nie. So colleagues, please, when you leave this house tonight, pick up your phone, phone National Minister Chikunga and ask her, give the billions of rands you're wasting on PRASA, give it to competent agencies, devolve that power to competent governments like ourselves and the city of Cape Town. That is how you help save South Africa. Hulle het dit nie gekry 10 jaar terug nie, hulle kry dit nog altyd hier vandag hier. So the message is not going to get tired because facts don't change on the day you say it. Hulle moet luister en implementeer met hulle nasionale kollegas. That is the problem. They don't like facts and they don't listen to facts. So I'm going to repeat the message next week, in a month from now, because the facts is not going to change. So Honorable Mvimbi, an Honorable Class Online, who's a defeater of the ANC in Saldanha, please, colleagues, speak to your national colleagues, pick up phone Minister Chikunga after this meeting and ask them to devolve the powers to competent governments like ourselves who actually can do the work. Honorable members, now see, that's the problem. The honorable members say I must keep on dreaming. While she wants to keep on dreaming, hundreds of thousands of people can't get to work. The central line is standing still. People in Philippi, Khayelitsha, and Mitchell's Plain can't get to work. That is the reality of the matters. The honorable members on my right don't seem to get.
Order, members. Honorable Minister, please take your seat. Honorable members. Honorable members. Honorable members, Honorable Mvimbi. Honorable members, you are drowning out the speaker on the floor. I'm going to address that now. Honorable Minister, you cannot respond to interjections and then expect not a response. I've asked you to speak to the chair. Can you please do so?
Honorable Speaker, I'm speaking via you. But let me be let me repeat that message. Let me repeat that message. Honorable Speaker, we on this house are not dreaming. We understand the collapse of rail, the collapse of Transnet, the collapse of the port, the collapse of the South African police services, the collapse of crime intelligence, the collapse of state security, the collapse of South African Airways was solely and purely the responsibility of the ANC. And if the members on that house would have taken the opportunity and made phone calls to their colleagues at National Parliament, rail possibly could have changed. Transnet at the ports could have changed. Our rail system in Khayelitsha, Mitchell's Plain, and Philippi could have changed. That is the facts. They don't like to hear the facts. That is not my problem, because the facts don't change because they don't like them. I'm coming back to Honorable Mvimbi's point on the safety plan. The Honorable Mvimbi said, we implemented the safety plan. Let me quote his words. I don't want to misquote him. Because we are afraid of our people. That is what the Honorable Mvimbi said. Now, that's a callous statement to make. We implemented the safety plan because the Honorable Mvimbi and his members, the ANC, have failed the people in this country. The Honorable Mvimbi and his members, the ANC, has collapsed the South African Police Service. The Honorable Mvimbi and his ANC has collapsed state security, crime intelligence. I can go on and on. That is the reason we have
Honourable
implemented the
Minister,
safety
please take
plan.
your seat. Honourable Mvimbi, please take your seat. Honourable Chief Whip, is there a point of order?
Yes, Speaker, I do rise on Rule 39. It is really becoming increasingly difficult to hear the minister because you don't know who you should listen to, because Member Mvimbi wants to shout louder and the minister has to raise his voice. Can you kindly rule on that, Speaker? Thank you.
What's your point of order, Honourable Mvimbi?
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I think as long as the provincial minister keep repeating lies here, we are going to relay to correct him on his lies. But we have actually warned him, Honorable Speaker, not to speak to us. And he continued actually in his reference, always referring to Honorable Mvimbi. So I'm going to respond. As long as he keep on mentioning my name, I'm going to respond, because that means he is indirectly talking to me via you.
Honourable members, on both sides of the house, because it's not just on the one side. You are drowning out the minister on the floor, and you are hindering the progress of Parliament to do its work. And I don't want to get to a point where I need to take a decision for Parliament in order for Parliament to be able to do their work or do its work. Can I ask, Minister, once again, that you speak through me? And honourable members, you cannot be in conversation with the minister. You can have a cup of tea after the sitting has adjourned if you disagree with the minister. But for now, the minister is on the floor. There is no time allocated to the minister as per the rules. So I'm going to allow the minister to continue until the minister is concluded. Honourable Kam, is there a new point of order? Because you cannot rise on a point of order that I've ruled upon.
Yes, don't suspect me, Speaker.
Okay, what's your new point of order?
Speaker, through you, I want to check if the
Order, members. You're protected. Speak.
No, thank you. Through you, I want to check if the minister is prepared to take a question on this phenomenon.
Okay.
Of
Honourable
provincial
Minister, are you
powers.
prepared to take a question? The minister is not prepared to take a question. Please take a seat. Honourable Minister, you may continue.
Honorable Speaker, the honorable members made comments, and I'm speaking straight at you and via you. It is common cause in this parliament that I address an honorable member, whether it's Vimbi, whether it's America, by name. It is common cause so I'm not speaking directly to you, I'm doing it via you. And I am going to respond. I'm now on page 1 of 5, because that is their input. I'm responding to it. So I am going to respond. Honorable Speaker,
Order.
Honorable Speaker, the honorable member made a comment, we are afraid of our own voters. I'm quoting the honorable member. I'm not making this up. I'm quoting the own words of Honorable Mvimbi, a member of this house who said it. That is what he said. So I'm responding to him. We are afraid of all people in the Western Cape. We are afraid of their safety. We are afraid of gangsterism. We are afraid of them being murdered. We are afraid of them being raped. So yes, we are afraid. And it's sad that an elected member of this house is not afraid of that. It is heartbreaking to hear an elected member of this House, thought it acceptable that we ought to be not do nothing. We didn't do nothing. This DA-led Western Cape government chose to do something. We chose to allocate R1 billion to the safety plan, while the members of that House and their party at the National Parliament failed to do their job. So this is nothing to be ashamed of, to say we were, in his own words, afraid of our own people or our own voters. We were afraid of 7 million people. We were afraid of youngsters being killed on a Friday or Saturday night randomly in our neighborhoods. We were afraid of guns being distributed by ANC cadres in this province. We were afraid of a police officer distributing thousands of guns enabled by an ANC policy. Yes, we were afraid. It's a shame that that member were not afraid. I'm proud that I was afraid of people dying in this province, and we will continue to stand up for people dying in this province. The honorable member then continued, and I'm responding to his own statements. I didn't make this up. I'm a responsive man. I'm responding to his comments. Then he said, we were not prepared to deliver to our own people. He's actually contradicting himself. His first words were, we're afraid of the safety of our own people. Then he said, we were not prepared to deliver. We were prepared to deliver. That's why we started the Western Cape Safety Plan, because they didn't bother. There is the difference between us and them, because we bother. The honorable member then went further. The honorable member and honorable Mbimbi also said, we keep on competing with national government. Honorable members, we can't compete with national government. We can't compete. We do 100 meters under 10 seconds. They do 100 meters in 2 hours. There's no competition. There is zero competition between the two of us. So we can't compete against us. We deliver services, they don't bother. We have a safety plan, they have nothing. We have functional hospitals, they are collapsing in the hospitals where they govern. There is no competition between the two of us. We are in a league of our own. We are in the Olympics, they on a flucky soccer during the time. We win the World Cup, hulle speel graad 3 rugby. Daar is die kompetisie nie. You can't compete between the two of us. So what we are doing, honorable members.
Order, Minister, please take your seat. Minister Meyer.
Honorable Speaker, the Honorable Minister said they play plucky soccer. What is that? Because I would like to see Honorable Member Kama play plucky soccer.
Honorable Minister Meyer, that is not a point of order. Can Honorable Minister, you may continue.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. So we are definitely not competing against the national government. We are in a league on our own. To give you practical examples, over the last 4 months, Honorable Speaker, I personally have written to Minister Chikunga, Minister Gordhan, and recently Minister Krisi. The only person who have bothered to acknowledge receipt of my letter with respect to her was Minister Krisi last week. That is the difference between us and them. Minister Chikunga, interestingly, gave me a call yesterday about a meeting for next week. We've asked them, honorable members, to put on the agenda Transnet, the collapse of the port, the collapse of the harbor, the minibus taxi subsidization, the user-paid transport voucher. They didn't even bother to have a min-mac for the last 2 or 3 months. That is what I'm saying. We're in a league on our own. The country is busy collapsing. Our ports is busy collapsing. Our rail service is busy collapsing. They don't even have a meeting to discuss it, honorable members. So we are not competing against them. It is impossible to compete against somebody who's 10 kilometers behind you. We are not the same persons. We are not made of the same quality. We want this country to succeed. They are honestly working for this country to fail. There is the difference between us and them. So we are not competing. Honorable America talked about a disclaimer. Now to get a disclaimer, honorable members, get a disclaimer, a definition of a disclaimer.
Honorable Minister, please take your seat. Honorable Mvimbi, I've asked you throughout this debate to allow the minister to respond. This constant continued directing your comments to the minister is completely out of order. This is the last time that I'm going to call you to order. The minister is competing with himself. Honorable Mvimbi, I'm not going to engage on that. I'm asking you for the last time. Please allow the minister to make his contribution. You had your opportunity. If there's something you don't agree with, use other mechanism or have a cup of tea after the sitting is adjourned. Honorable Minister, you may continue.
Thank you. The Honorable, a definition of a disclaimer in plain, simple language. The information is so bad, the Auditor General didn't even want to bother. He gives up. No invoices, no receipts, nothing. In plain, simple terms. So when we talk about them versus us, that is the difference between us and them. You can't compete. They're not in a league on our own. So when your government gets a disclaimer, that is where you must legally resign, actually. That is why you just give up, go home, and become a traffic officer. They can apply next year. That is the difference between us and them. That is a disclaimer, honorable members. Honorable members, we are indeed, via you, I didn't say that. We are indeed not the Eastern Cape. That is the difference between us and them. We are a functional government that operates, that care for the rule of law, that bother to wake up to do their job. The Stats SA numbers, delivered by the Statisticians General, appointed by the ANC national government, should, in all honesty, break the members' hearts. It should break the members of that side of the House hearts. That 1 million people has given up hope in the Eastern Cape. 1 million people over the last 10 years have packed their bags, wrapped themselves up and left. They've given up hope in this province. That is the difference between them and us. So bad is the Eastern Cape. So bad is the Eastern Cape that the Premier of the Eastern Cape appointed the head of departments to his own office in a special team. He appointed acting persons to run their department. I mean, he have no faith in them. He appointed them all to his own office. It's a scanner, man. It's a scanner. That is the difference between them and us. I'm proud of our mobility. I'm not going to continue because there's so much I can say for another hour. I'm proud of our Western Cape mobility team. I'm proud that they've come so far in a new department in trying to pick up failures of a dysfunctional rail system caused by the ANC government. We are a team in this province, and I want to thank the team, I want to thank the HOD and all my team who's worked extremely hard in building this new department. Building a new team is not easy, but they've done so against a backdrop of a dysfunctional transport system created by the ANC. So well done, team, and thanks to my ministry team for being here. I really appreciate you. We're going to take this mobility department as expected to be the best in the country. I thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honourable Minister. Honourable members, that concludes the debate on this vote. Before I ask the Secretary to read the 7th order of the day, I'm going to allow for the officials to move in and out. Order. 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 Order, members, the House is not suspended. Order, members. Members, we are 2 votes away to the end of the day. Can I please ask your indulgence and cooperation so we can get through the next 2 votes? I'm going to ask the secretary to read the 7th order of the day.
Debate on 7, Social Development, Western Cape Adjustment Appropriation Bill.
Thank you very much. I recognize the Honourable Minister of Social Development, Minister Fernandes.
Honourable Speaker, Honourable Premier and Cabinet colleagues, Honourable members of the Provincial Legislature in the House and on the virtual platform, members of the media and public, citizens of the Western Cape. Good afternoon, goeiemiddag, molweni nonke, assalamu alaikum. I rise to table the adjustment budget for vote 7 in a time when the Department of Social Development and other service-driven departments are the hardest hit by the harsh reality of national budget pressures. As we're entering the festive season, a time that is known for joy, peace, and rest, the department and the NGO sector that mostly financially depend on us must continue our work as the problems and challenges of our clients we serve do not get a festive break. We must do so knowing that help is not necessarily on its way due to financial constraints and the harsh reality that transfer budgets are likely to be impacted, which could affect the sustainability of the NGOs that we fund. This is the grim reality. The fiscal outlook has deteriorated since the 2023 budget, driven largely by reduced revenue estimates, tightened monetary policy, higher borrowing costs, inflation, spending pressures, and the impact of the 2023 wage agreement. Honourable Speaker, as a former banker, I can tell you that all the red flags are up and we are seeing an exodus of global players from this country, which makes this debate in this House seem minuscule compared to what is actually happening out there whilst we are dilly-dallying around who is to blame for the mess this country finds itself in. However, we remain steadfast in our mission to serve the most vulnerable citizens of the Western Cape and fulfill our statutory obligations. As Minister Wenger stated during the tabling of the 2023-24 Western Cape medium-term budget policy statement and the adjustment budgets, I quote, "In the face of the challenges and grave uncertainty that we face because of national failings, we do what we do in the Western Cape and we do it best. We try and strive to protect. We strategically prioritize. We boost so that we can continue to build your future." Honourable House Chair, an increase of 18,519,000 Rand has amounted to the department's adjustment budget allocation being over 2.479 billion. This slight increase, which is largely due to a shifting of funds from the Department of Infrastructure, requires DSD to absorb the cost of the wage increase within this amount. The adjusted budget did not include funding for the following: cost of living adjustments relating to the 2023 wage agreement and additional funding to childcare and protection organizations. Revenue shortfalls, surging debt servicing costs, and the National Public Service wage increases have left us with an equitable share cut of over 106 million Rand. Fortunately, Provincial Treasury has buffered this with reserves to prevent the department from running out of the funds we require to honour contractual obligations during the course of this financial year, such as staff salaries, NGO payments, and service provider contracts. Provincial Treasury, House Chair, has also unearmarked all the department's earmarked allocations to help us move around to cover our compensation of employees, as well as to shift some additional funds to NGOs offering critical support services. The allocations for transfer funding in respect of these sub-programs, persons with disabilities, child and youth care centres, substance abuse and victim empowerment were reduced and reprioritised. This is likely to have a significant impact on the quality and reach of services provided to citizens. These unprecedented in-year cuts, House Chair, are exactly what Premier Winde has warned would happen due to the national wage agreements. I support the steps the Western Cape government is taking in declaring an intergovernmental dispute. I am deeply concerned that the situation will worsen, which could lead to staff burnout and an overload in cases due to high vacancy rates, as we will not have enough funds to fill all our posts in the context of a rapidly growing population with increasing levels of poverty and inequality. This House Chair is the kind of on-the-ground impact national government is turning a blind eye to. We have seen it happening time and time again. An example, the chaotic disbursements of SASSA grants through the ineffectual post bank that impact the most vulnerable residents and children, a dysfunctional Department of Home Affairs, which is in a complete mess, and we see it daily when the power goes off due to load shedding and our secure care centres and shelters are then placed at greater risk. This, Honourable House Chair, is a national government completely out of touch with the realities of its citizens. However, all is not lost. 20 million rand was reprioritised to provide additional funding to child protection services. This will ensure the sustainability of 115 designated child protection organisations that render statutory child protection services. Our NPO and NGO partners are crucial in ensuring the well-being, dignity and protection of vulnerable residents like children to ensure that they are safe. The additional funding will enable these organisations to cover the operational costs. More importantly, it will ensure the retention of social workers, as many of these organisations have been challenged with a high turnover of staff seeking better employment opportunities. 1.2 million rand has rolled over for the modification of specialised vehicles for the transport of children with intellectual disabilities. We have already handed over 4 vehicles to NGOs assisting children with disabilities, and the department has placed an order for another 6 vehicles to ensure we fulfill our legal obligation of making provision for children with severe to profound intellectual disabilities to be able to attend special schools. The department also received an additional 723,000 rand for drop-in centre services for the rollout of the Delft intervention plan. This allocation will be reprioritised for emergency packs between childcare and protection NGOs within the regions. We are certainly not forgetting those living on the streets and those living in poverty. We had initially planned to build a shelter for homeless adults in District 6 due to the increasing numbers of people living on the streets in Cape Town CBD. But this had to be reconsidered due to community objections and the severe budget cuts that means any delay to infrastructure work on the site may render the project unaffordable. Funds were instead transferred from the Department of Infrastructure for the expansion of bed spaces at existing shelters. 8.1 million rand of these funds was allocated to increase bed spaces at shelters across Cape Town and other parts of the province. Since the COVID-19 disaster, Honourable Speaker, DSD has provided funding for social workers at all shelters to help with the reunification of homeless adults with their families and has increased access to shelter bed spaces funded by the department from 1,500 to 2,398 beds. With this latest allocation, this figure will further increase to 2,584, which is over and above shelter spaces funded by the City of Cape Town and other municipalities across the province. The unallocated funds of 8.8 million rand were reprioritised. The need for support of those living under the breadline, Honourable Speaker, is great. There was an economic classification shift from transfer payments to goods and services for the provision of food parcels to the amount of 935,000 rand. These funds were used to assist with DSD's intervention and response efforts during the recent floods in disaster in the province. The department's role in response to the disaster is to coordinate psychosocial services and to facilitate access to humanitarian relief to affected communities. During the devastating floods, DSD worked with several partner NGOs and other governmental agencies to provide humanitarian relief to the worst affected communities. Besides providing trauma counseling and other psychosocial support, DSD social workers worked tirelessly with municipalities to assess the urgent needs of families whose homes were flooded, like providing emergency baby packs in Ashton. Honourable House Chair, national government has placed us in one of the worst fiscal positions we have ever been in years. I fear this adjusted budget foreshadows even more severe cuts in the coming financial year. Now, more than ever, we require the private sector to join hands with NGOs, NPOs, and civil society to provide crucial services in the social service sector, whether it be GBV survivor support, child protection, elderly person care, substance use support services, amongst others. As this reading has proved, provincial government simply cannot do it on its own. The time of working in silos is long over, hence our transversal approach under the leadership of Premier Wendy. The COVID-19 pandemic proved how much more effective we are when we work together. I still believe in what Minister Wenger said, and I quote, that we can build your future. That is the future of citizens, but we can only do so in collaboration with partners like corporates, NGOs, and communities. We certainly cannot rely on the failing national government that has plundered the public purse and has left this country on a fiscal cliff. Honourable Speaker, I wish to thank my cabinet colleagues at the Executive Council led by Premier Wendy for their continuous support and motivation. Thank you to the Standing Committee for the robust and transparent engagements we have enjoyed throughout the year. I'm also grateful to the Department of Social Development, led by Dr. Robert MacDonald and some of our chief directors in the box, for their tireless efforts and leadership in making difficult decisions with the reprioritization of a budget under serious fiscal constraints. Colleagues, your efforts are appreciated. I know you spent long nights and days deliberating on what must go and what must stay, but I want to say thank you for resolving what was a very difficult situation. I commend all the DSD staff who remain committed to serving the most vulnerable despite the many challenges that we have. So thank you to the entire team DSD for going the extra mile. And finally, I must thank the ministry staff, capably led by our head of ministry, Ms. Ananda Nal, who is in the box there together with Ms. Monique Mortlock. The A-team, as I call it, has been and continues to be the wind beneath my wings through what has been an extremely difficult period. I thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. I recognise the Honourable Baku Force.
Speaker, I rise today on behalf of the ANC to decline support for the proposed budget adjustment for the Western Cape Department of Social Development. When the Finance MEC tabled her so-called budget to build your future last week, she claimed it was a budget to prioritize the people of the province by protecting the frontline services, including the Department of Social Development. In the subsequent budget committee meeting, it was also stated that gender-based violence, child protection, and psychosocial support were policy priorities to be funded through the budget. As they always say, the devil is in the details. A close examination of this department's budget reveals that the finance MEC's claims were nothing but clear blue lies and empty promises. We have witnessed substantial budget cuts for the following sub-programs: service to persons with disabilities by over 1.4 million, child and youth care centers by 3.1 million, poverty alleviation and sustainable livelihood by over 1 million, substance abuse prevention and rehabilitation by over 3.1 million, victim empowerment by a massive 3.5 million. The budget cuts to the aforementioned programs clearly demonstrate that the DA commitment to addressing social issues such as gender-based violence and femicide, substance use disorder, and the involvement and youth in criminal activities in nothing but empty rhetoric and hollow noise. Speaker, this province is failing to play its role in the prevention of these crimes. The mothers in Cape Flats must know the DA has chosen to spend millions to buy computers instead of investing the money to get our youth out of drugs and crime. The victims of GBV must know the DA deems it important to use empowerment funds for travel and subsistence instead of addressing the GBV scourge. In the face of high poverty, which predominantly affect the Black people, African and colours in the Western Cape, along with the crisis of a rising cost of living, the DA has failed dismally to respond to these challenges by making essential budget reallocation towards addressing these challenges. For instance, only 925 has been redistributed towards poverty alleviation and sustainable livelihoods for the provision of food parcels, while over 6 million from imported programs has been distributed for computer equipment. This clearly exposes the DA's skewed priorities. Speaker, of course, the ANC will be the first to acknowledge good decision and give credit where it's due. Early this year, there was a huge outcry from Child Protection Services organization in the province under the banner of the Western Cape Child Protection Alliance, who called out the DA government for cutting its spending on child protection services despite high levels of violence against children in the province. We note that in this proposed adjustment budget, there is an additional 26.6 million allocation for the Children and Families Program, inclusive of 21.5 million increase for the child care and protection sub-programs. This is a step in the right direction, but unfortunately, it's not enough to address the challenges. Furthermore, we do not think the 723,000 allocated to fund drop-in center services is also sufficient to address the program. Additionally, the bulk of increase in the budget for the Children and Families Program will not go towards NGOs in child protection services to address increased operational cost, but will instead be used the provision of additional bed space at shelters. The MEC and department had failed the NGOs in this regard. The ANC strongly object to the decision to allocate the 16.9 million shifted from the Department of Infrastructure towards additional bed space at shelters instead of the proposed development of homeless shelter in the CBD. This pattern of decision raises serious concern about the DA's commitment to address the root causes of homeless and provide sustainable solutions for the vulnerable people, particularly those living in the city. Lastly, Speaker, I really regretfully, this is not the first time where the DA has neglected the needs of homeless people in the province. Not long ago, the city imposed bylaws that criminalize homelessness. And before that, it was the establishment of the inhuman Strandfontein concentration camp during the peak of the COVID-19 pandemic, which tragically led to the loss of lives among the homeless people. Yikho lokho okanye yiloo nto singakwazi uyamkela olu hlahlo lubiwo mali. Enkosi, Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Baku Force. I now recognize the Honorable de Villiers.
Thank you, Chair. The Good Party cannot vote for a budget that has years promised and not delivered on creating new bed spaces for those living on the streets in Cape Town. What was initially going to be a transitional shelter and developed center for those living on the streets of Cape Town at the old Robbie New York building was this year changed without proper consultation to a site in District 6, which was successfully appealed by the public and those living on the streets. The budget proposed ballooned to millions without providing these services. This department has, without proper consultation, decided to invest these funds into upgrading the already overfunded temporary emergency shelters, which those living on the streets refuse to go to for very good reasons. These shelters became havens for those on SASSA grants and those on the nationally funded program like EPWP and PEP programs. The Good Party cannot support this budget and votes against it. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable de Villiers. The next speaker is the Honorable Plato. You are recognized.
Yeah, thank you, Honorable Chair. Thank you for the opportunity. We in the Democratic Alliance, obviously, we support the vote, we support the budget. There is no question about that. And it leaves me no choice other than to do so, despite difficult budgetary constraints as identified by the Honourable Minister. And on top of it, let me congratulate the Minister, the HOD, all the senior staff and all the other staff on a beautiful audit finding. And I note the allocation of budget to many sectors out there, but also to projects and programs. The Minister of Finance's promises is part of the overall budget structure. It's worked into the overall budget. It's not promises, Honourable Chair, it is reality. If budget cuts imposed by the African National Congress national government, much more money would have been available for more services aimed at the poor. The budget cuts is hitting the poorest of the poor the most, and we need to realize that. Most of the budget is aimed to support the poorest of the poor. This is a poor people's budget, despite the budget cuts. Honourable Chair, and let me use the further opportunity to say to the Minister, HOD and all the staff, thank you very much for a job well done under trying circumstances. It's really a case of doing much more with lesser budget. How do you cut? What are you taking away? It's exactly what the Minister have indicated. The Department of Social Development is at the forefront of dealing with social related issues across the province. The department focus on many areas such as gender-based violence, child protection, substance use disorders and older persons, and many, many more social-related issues. With many businesses still closed as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, means many people still without a job opportunity, which aggravate the social issues around those concerned. The department deal with all of these issues, what we call in a whole of society approach, and that approach will continue. And with increase in poverty levels over a wide front, it is very, very difficult for the department to reach out to all the people out there, but the department is doing its utter best to do so. As you can see, quite a lot happening around us with so little resources available to address them, and budget cuts that will just aggravate issues further. The department, and the minister is quite correct, the department will never be able to do it alone. You're as good as those partners around you. Here, I want to take my hat off to many of our NGOs, our NPOs, our CBOs, taking the extra mile to assist wherever they can. And in particular, 90% of the assistance goes to the most vulnerable of people out there. One would love to see a much better budget allocation for our NGOs and CBOs and NPOs. But as the minister have indicated, under these trying circumstances, it is just not possible. But budget constraint issues prevent the department from doing so. Chair, social development, speaking to all social issues in our communities. All projects and programs, as the minister have identified, is fully funded. That is what the public out there want to know. That is what the public want to see. They want assurances. Will projects and programs continue? Will there be help, assistance for them during difficult circumstances? And as the minister have indicated, yes, it will be available. And let me just identify some of the issues the minister might not have mentioned, and I would love to cover. Nearly 39,000 plus children in foster care. That's an absolute highlight of the department to reach out to such a lot of vulnerable people out there, in particular children. Our hearts goes out to children finding themselves in difficulty and under very difficult circumstances. 220 new safety parents were trained as part of the departmental safety parental program. Programs by the department provide the skills to preserve the family structure. Very, very important for the upbringing of our children. The value of the family unit, the value of the family structure cannot be underestimated. But there's a devil in our communities that we need to address, and the minister did address it very briefly. The high incidence of violence we experience, particularly against women and children, has continued to become a major, major issue. And it's a major issue for many years. But I'm very pleased to say I'm happy with the projects and programs and the initiatives the minister put in place to address that sector. 26 funded GBV shelters funded by the department. Thousands of women and children who were victims of crime and violence were able to access temporary shelter accommodation. A highlight was the hosting of the GBV and Femicide Summit during October 2022, attended by over 1,500 delegates. But then, as my counter opposition member Baku have indicated as well, and the minister alluded to that, the assistance to insecure households, in particularly food assistance. The department's food relief interventions provided over 109,000 plus beneficiaries access to cooked meals, some from 512 community kitchens across the province, assisting with that. And that is for me a major, major highlight, because that is what the public want to know. What is it we're doing for that vulnerable people that cannot even put a plate of food on the table during the night when they need to go and sleep? And that is why I put emphasis on this issue, that is what the department are doing for those that is not in a job opportunity, that cannot fend for themselves. And that is where the department is stepping in to fill that space. Thousands of food parcels distributed to families in food distress as well. The department continue to implement programs aimed at youth at risk, support persons with disabilities through programs which promote their well-being and dignity. The department strengthens community-based services through training and capacity building programs. That is in the budget. All these issues I raised, that will continue to happen. And then the department will continue to support municipalities, exactly an issue that was also raised earlier, in particular the city of Cape Town and other municipalities with its massive homeless program. But the cities are taking the lead, not the department. And I think that needs to understand the city provide assistance, input, and that sort of thing, but the lead party in this to deal with the homeless issue is the local authorities. As a result of time constraints, I can say much more, Honourable Chair. It is a pleasure to be associated with a department such as the Department of Social Development, and for the public out there to understand what it is the department are doing for them. I thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honourable. I recognize the Minister of Social Development.
Thank you, House Chair. I'd like to thank the members for their contribution to the debate for vote 7. I think it's important, and it doesn't take rocket science. If we have a wage agreement that is negotiated at a national level, but the funding needs to come or originate at a provincial level, and no provision has been made, something has to give. That is the harsh reality, and it's not only the Western Cape. All 9 provinces have been affected by this move, which in our province, we've seen health and education get subsidized to a degree, but the other departments have to find the money in their budgets. So that is the harsh reality. Now, you cannot do in-year cuts. It's unheard of. And that's an example of a failing state. That is an example of the maladministration, the fact that there is no good governance, and that we don't have people at a national level who actually understand what is happening, not only financially, but in terms of the reality, people's lived realities on the ground. Honourable Baku Vos, the department can only deliver on statutory services because we do not, Chairperson, have the funds to do any of the nice to have stuff. If we do not focus on statutory work, we will face litigation, and then we need to give effect to that litigation. We have, as you heard, tried to bolster child protection agencies, but there's no nice to haves. Substance use disorder, gender-based violence, those are all important programs, but in terms of the bigger picture, our Chairperson, in terms of the bigger picture, we can only work within the budgetary constraints that we are faced with. So that sadly is the harsh reality. Coming to the Honourable Marais, if I remember correctly, in one house sitting, the Honourable Marais objected to a shelter being built. So it's certainly a case of walking left and talking right. And simply if you do the sums from 1,500 bed spaces to 2,500 and odd, that is an increase. We have a province that caters for 30 municipalities. The province does not only look after the city of Cape Town. There are 29 other municipalities that also require assistance. Then I want to highlight another point, House Chair. During COVID level 4 and 5, we were asked to take homeless people in. There was a 50 million Kirnock's deal that was very quickly absorbed. And then what happened after that? The Minister Zulu was supposed to engage Minister Dlamini Zulu around legislation to affirm what needs to happen regarding the homeless. That was another empty promise. We don't want to even touch SASSA. We now heard that the 31st of March, gold cards stop. What's going to happen to that 597,000 beneficiaries who we identified earlier in the year already? We cannot get abridged birth certificates. We cannot get our children into adoption because Home Affairs is completely dysfunctional. So it's quite rich. It's quite rich of the opposition to stand here and criticize us when we have a team of only 2,500 people who are working their butt off to service almost 7.4 million people, House Chair. So it is 16 days of no violence against women and children. And it would be remiss of me to stand here and not address the members in this House. And here I am talking to.
Thank you, honorable members. Just please take your seat.
Yeah,
Honorable MEC, please take your seat. Please, honorable leader of the opposition, please. I do know your whips are not in the House, but please. Thank you. Can we ask for, please behave? Thank you, Minister. You can continue.
Honourable House Chair, gender-based violence is not just sexual assault. Gender-based violence takes the form of bullying, intimidation, harassment. And the point I want to make is that in this very House, the level of decorum, the amount of bullying, men bullying men, women bullying men, men bullying women, is disgusting. Young children out there see this behavior and we expect them to respond to GBV when in this very House, we have lost all respect for the dignity and decorum of Parliament to the point.
Thank you, Chief.
Yes, Chair, can you please make a ruling in terms of Rule 39, Chair? It cannot be that the members on the other side drown out the Minister. Thank you, Chair.
Point taken. Please, honorable members, you cannot drown out the speaker. Please, let's not be guilty of bullying here as well. Honorable Minister, please proceed.
Thank you, Honourable House Chair, and that's exactly the point I want to make. I would like to appeal to every member in this House to reflect on their behaviour. We must be the example to our children, to the young girls in Mitchell's Plain and to everyone else. But what do? We behave so appallingly in this House that I am actually quite disgusted on days when I see how members have a go at each other. That constitutes bullying and it's GBV and it needs to be addressed. So you can.
Honorable members, Minister, please take your seat. Honorable members, please. I realize that you may be tiring. I know it was a long day, but please, and may I ask the whip to also please play his role. Thank you, honorable members. Honorable members, please.
May I continue?
Honorable Maran, please. I would love you to continue, but can we please have order? Please continue.
Honourable House Chair, it was not too long ago when I was the Speaker of Parliament sitting in that very chair, when a certain Marius Fransman went on a trip to Sun City and the very members across on the other side defended him to the hilt. So the sheer hypocrisy of the ANC is staggering. And no case of gender-based violence in any political party must be condoned. No case of gender-based violence must be must be acknowledged. It is wrong. It is unacceptable, whether it belongs in the DA, the EFF, the Patriotic Alliance. GBV is unacceptable. But what is happening in this house is serious bullying, and it's become unacceptable. And I would love the opposition to know what children out there think of their behavior. They say it's appalling, they belong in the naughty corner, they're pathetic, we have no need to vote for them. So that's that. Then, Honorable House Chair, another myth that I want all South Africans to listen to very carefully today is that the ANC does not pay SASSA grants. SASSA grants are paid by taxpayers' money. And this idea that people are told, if you don't vote for us, your grant will be taken away, is complete rubbish. And so I am telling all South Africans today, wake up to the reality of what is coming. The ANC is bankrupt. They are broke. They're the sheriff on their doorstep. They don't know how to manage their finances. Hulle moet nie eers praat nie. Now, let me just...
Honorable members, please. Honorable members, you've had your opportunity to debate. There will be further opportunity to debate, but you need to respect the speaker. Honorable Maran, please. Honorable Baku Force. Honorable Baku Force, please. Yeah, please.
Thank you, Honorable House Chair, for protecting me. In terms of social relief of distress, it might be useful for the Honorable Maran to go and read the Act, and he will find that in Chapter 3, SASSA is charged with social relief of distress. So since SASSA has become dysfunctional, that has also become dysfunctional. But Honorable Speaker, Chairperson, there's recently been a study of 18 to 35-year-olds by the Human Sciences Research Council, which was commissioned in a run-up to the 2024 national elections. Young people between 18 and 35 said they would not vote because of deep discontent, and this is out of the Daily Maverick, with government performance, political parties, and the functioning of the democratic system. Listen now, listen carefully. This is particularly prevalent in Gauteng and KwaZulu-Natal, where more than 80% of young people distrust the national government and more than 75% distrust political parties. And guess what the reasons are? They don't believe that voting will make a difference. There is a perceived lack of trust. There is corrupt politicians is number 2. Number 3 is poor socio-economic conditions. Number 4 is empty promises. And number 5 is feeling that politicians don't care. So politicians, well, you should be worried about KwaZulu-Natal and Gauteng because they're not talking about the Western Cape. Honorable House Chair, unfortunately, the truth cannot be altered because people have a different perception of the truth. The harsh reality is that facts matter, and we are sitting on a fiscal cliff because all it took was the once glorious movement, 30 years to run this country into the ground. I was there and I left when I saw the rot starting. So they need to acknowledge that they have failed. They have failed South Africa. They have failed their provinces. They have failed the most vulnerable. So if I were them, I would reconsider, and instead of sitting here to make a difference, to get involved and help to save South Africa. I thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, honorable members. That concludes the debate on vote number 7. We will just give the officials a minute to leave. Thank you, honorable members. Can we calm down? Please, honorable members. Please, honorable members, we want to start with the last order of the day. Thank you. The secretary will read the 8th order of the day.
Debate on vote 2, Provincial Parliament, Western Cape Adjustments Appropriation Bill.
Thank you. I recognize the Honourable Mitchell.
Thank you very much, Honourable Chairperson, Premier, members of the Cabinet and members of the Western Cape Provincial Parliament. It is indeed a great privilege to present the adjustment appropriation for the Western Cape Provincial Parliament for 2023. The WCPP budget has increased by 863,000 Rand from 240.242 million, including the direct charges share, leaving the WCPP with an adjusted appropriation of 241.105 million. Honourable Chair, an amount of 12.377 million in respect of the underspending on voted funds and an amount of 1.943 million in respect of over-collected own revenue will be rolled over from the 2022-2023 financial year into MTEF. In an attempt to reduce the total value of the additional funding requirements to Provincial Treasury, WCPP has revoted underspending from 2022-2023, 2024 to the 2024-2025 and 2025-2026 financial years to partially cover the additional funding need. WCPP has therefore made provision in the adjustment budget for 6.530 million, which is 2.2 million to the 2024-2025 year and 4.33 million to the 2025-2026 financial year from the current budget to mitigate the additional funding shortages. Honourable Chair, the rollover of the 2022-2023 financial year was mainly allocated as follows. In Programme 1 under Governance, Leadership and Administration, the rollover was from the previous financial year to cover the committed projects which were not completed in the 2022-2023 and priority projects identified. Under Programme 2 under Parliamentary Support Services, a total of 2.147 million was rolled over from the previous financial year to cover for projects which were committed in the 2022-2023 financial year and to cover for the additional projects such as archiving, shelving and wave readers and to supplement the Standing Committee budget for lawmaking activities. Honourable Chair, under Programme 3, Public Engagement, an additional 323,000 Rand was rolled over to cover for committed projects and to cover for additional costs related to social media advertising and the public education and outreach budget for lawmaking activities. Honourable Chair, I now move over to Programme 4 under Member Support, an additional rollover of 697,000 Rand, which was for members' attendance of official WCPP events outside of the Western Cape Provincial Parliament precinct and to cover for an additional delegate to the CPA membership and to supplement the constituency allowances to align to the National Parliament. Honourable Chair, I recommitted myself once again to strengthening the core business of the Provincial Parliament to enable our members to fulfil their constitutional obligations with the necessary support, tools and administrative assistance. I also wish, Honourable Chair, to take this opportunity to thank all the members across the political divide for their support and assistance and look forward to completing the final stretch of the sixth term of the Western Cape Provincial Parliament. Honourable Chair, I therefore table the adjustment for vote 2 WCPP for consideration and debate.
Thank you, Honourable Mitchell. I recognize the Honourable Sayed.
Honourable House Chairperson, the African National Congress rejects this adjustment appropriations vote 2 budget. Before we proceed with the reasons as to why we reject this particular budget, allow me to share with the House our meeting this morning with an international delegation of parliamentarians for Jerusalem. hailing from Yemen, Turkey, and Jordan. We were able to interact with them on our role as parliamentarians and operating within the public policy space in fighting for a just and peaceful settlement for a free Palestine. Despite the DA's double standards, despite the DA not lighting up this particular building with the Palestinian flag colors like they did with Ukraine, despite the DA premier refusing to condemn apartheid Israel as he condemned Russia, we, each and every one of us, can do our bit. The delegation was in South Africa as attendees of the 5th Convention of Solidarity with Palestine and to honor President Nelson Mandela. The words of Madiba on our freedom and democracy, as practiced in this house, must ring through these hallowed halls of this provincial legislature. We will not be free until the Palestinians are free. Honorable House Chair, public engagement remains a sore thumb for the ANC in this particular budget. Let us be clear. We do not blame or apportion responsibility to any staff member of the WCPP. In fact, if anything, and listening to the complaints along the corridors of this building, the ANC can only sympathize with staff members of the WCPP. Budget cuts, but simply to bloat up non-essential programs such as the offices of the political office bearers and the accounting offices. When cuts are made, the first places and programs political office bearers and accounting officers look at are programs they don't believe in. So cutting the public engagement budget comes as no surprise to us, because it is precisely the program that the DA has never taken seriously in this legislature and in the municipalities where the DA governs. If it were not for our courts, the DA would have done away with public engagement and public education a long time ago. House Chair, the political head of this institution has again asked for suggestions from political parties to enhance public engagement. The ANC has given so many, but we are continuously ignored, even on the issue of the rules, because those suggestions do not serve the DA's agenda of disregard for public engagement. So the WCPP staff in public engagement are actually fighting a losing battle under this administration. Why doesn't the Democratic Alliance like public engagement? Well, because the public have so often disagreed with them. Children's Commissioner, Environmental Commissioner, National Health Insurance, among so many others. In fact, the DA was so desperate to please donors that they demanded more public hearings for the NHI when the Western Cape said yes to the NHI. And after they got the extra public hearings from the NCOP, because the ANC believes deeply in public engagement, the DA packed those hearings with anti-NHI people. And the DAPR went into overdrive, Honorable House Chair, to ignore all the hearings about the NHI before these last ones. House Chairperson, the administration claims to lament budget cuts, but the little money they do have, they give for 72, listen carefully, 72 litigation cases. When the Provincial Powers Bill, with the Provincial Powers Bill being dead in the water legally, an opinion from the very competent legal team of the WCPP, one can understand why the DA leaders of this institution are budgeting in using taxpayers' money to contest this bill in court, if need be. Talking about the dead in the water Provincial Powers Bill, the DA wasted money on the public hearings and committee meetings for the amendment of the provincial constitution for the number of seats in this house to increase. Honorable Dagmar will attest, taxpayers' money down the drain. In fact, We now have a price tag to those hearings, which went wasted. 342,000 rand. In fact, 342,000 rand later, only for the DA to now be chickening out. Now again, public hearings are being called and taxpayers' money being spent. The little taxpayers' money that we already have on the dead in the water provincial powers bill. Honorable Bosman can laugh, but he knows that. We call on the DA to abandon this bill, like they abandoned both their bills on the amendment to the Western Cape Provincial Constitution, both in respect of the Environmental Commissioner as well as the number of seats in the WCPP, before wasting more taxpayers' money. It's going to lead to abandonment because of the approach that they are taking right now in the committee. Honorable House Chair, ours must have been the first legislature in this country and since the dawn of democracy to be hacked. Yes, hacked. This is an indictment on our cybersecurity. Again, let us be clear. ICT must not take responsibility for this. As the political leaders, we must all take responsibility for this. But what adds insult to injury? The political leadership of this legislature decides to cut the budget of ICT. This is a disgrace. In the wake of a hacking, one would expect a governing party to increase the budget, not to cut that particular budget. 830,000 rand is no small change. Yet ICT will not have access to these desperately needed funds. House Chairperson, the ANC welcomes the cut in the office of the Secretary, but the office of the Speaker is immune to the cuts, it would seem. No cuts for the office of the Speaker, but a whopping 628,000 cut to the secretarial allowance. What a disgrace. Secretarial allowance is supposed to enhance oversight. You will be forgiven for thinking that the Speaker leads by example. In fact, if you look at this particular adjustment, House Chairperson, this adjustment appropriation bill in general, everywhere else, funds are cut, but not in the office of the Premier, not in the office of the Speaker, not in the office of the MEC of Finance. The DA is truly a disgrace to the citizens of the Western Cape. We reject this particular bill.
Thank you, Honorable Said. Your time has expired and you've managed your time quite well. The next, I recognize the Honorable de Villiers.
I did this morning withdraw.
Thank you, Honorable de Villiers. The next speaker on the list is then the Chief Whip, Honorable Kaiser Philander.
Dankie, agbare voorsitter. Agbare voorsitter, die Wes-Kaapse provinsiale parlement se begroting is aanduidend van die fiskale krisis waarin die land en ons provinsie haar bevind. Alhoewel hierdie begrotingspos deur die meeste, nie as die mees kritieke van almal in die begrotingsproses beskou kan word nie, bly die werk van die wetgewer van kardinale belang, so ook die fondse wat hierdie huis benodig om dit te bereik. Agbare voorsitter, hierdie huis is verantwoordelik vir belangrike funksies, insluitend die afvaardiging van belangrike lewensveranderende wetgewing, sowel as toesig oor die uitvoerende gesag. Reg oor die land het provinsiale wetgewers, sowel as die nasionale parlement, hol tandelose instellings geword, wat niks anders doen as om die grille en wil van die ANC te kondoneer nie. Hierdie instellings het niks anders as nog 'n meganisme geword binne 'n proses om die ANC se nasionale regering se swak besluitneming, rampspoedige wetgewing en grootskaalse plundering van die staat te rubberstamp nie. Agbare voorsitter, maar die Wes-Kaapse provinsiale parlement is 'n skitterende voorbeeld van 'n wetgewer met guts en een wat uitstaan bo die res. Daar is verskeie redes waarom die Wes-Kaapse provinsiale parlement op die voorgrond is as die beste wetgewer in die land. Sommige van die redes sluit in Politieke leierskap wat die belange van inwoners bo die belange van politieke party affiliasie stel en 'n toegewyde professionele en nie partydige personeelaanvulling, 'n provinsiale uitvoerende gesag wat verantwoordbaar en deursigtig is. Voorsitter, die rede waarom die Wes-Kaap volgens die meeste maatstawwe die provinsie is wat die beste bestuur word, is omdat die Wes-Kaapse provinsiale parlement werk. Die Wes-Kaapse provinsiale parlement se toewyding tot sorgsame hulpbronbestuur dien as 'n baken van fiskale verantwoordelikheid, waar dit wyse besluite neem om fondse na die essensiële werk van die huis te prioritiseer, eerder as om in 'n weelderige reise en luuksehede te verval, soos in ander provinsies in Suid-Afrika. Voorsitter, hierdie instelling omarm 'n kultuur van inklusiwiteit en is 'n voorstander van diversiteit, waardigheid, gelykheid, respek en regverdigheid. Deur die behoeftes en stemme van die mense eerste te sit, personifiseer die Wes-Kaapse provinsiale parlement die ware betekenis van 'n parlement wat toegewyd is aan die diens en verbetering van haar burgers. Hierdie wetgewer, ten spyte van sommige van die oppositie se standpunte tot die teendeel, werk sonder vrees of guns, respekteer nie partydigheid en word goed bestuur. Maar ons moet nie onder enige illusie verkeer nie. Hierdie onlangse begrotingsbesnoeiings wat deur die nasionale tesourie veroorsaak is, sal 'n uitwerking hê op die wetgewer en sy vermoë om sy werk te doen. Soos vandag tydens die verskillende begrotingsredes waargeneem is die Wes-Kaap onderworpe aan 'n eislike tekort van 1 miljard aan die algehele begroting. Agbare voorsitter, hierdie is nie klein geld nie. Hierdie is groot somme geld met groter implikasies vir die mense van die Wes-Kaap. Die inkortings vir die 2023-24 boekjaar het beteken dat die Wes-Kaap verskeie kritiese dienste moes besnoei. Besnoeiings aan die Wes-Kaapse voorwaardelike toekennings sluit in 'n afname in toewysings aan kritieke infrastruktuurontwikkelingsprogramme, gesondheids- en welstandsprogramme, onderwys, padinstandhouding, menslike nedersetting, opgradering van informele nedersettings en landbou. Voorsitter, hierdie begrotingsbesnoeiings klink dalk na groot woorde en groot getalle, maar dit het ook groot en werklike gevolge vir ons mense op die grond. Voorsitter, inwoners se daaglikse lewens. Ek loof dus die pogings van minister Wenge en die provinsiale tesourie wat onder geweldige druk werk om kritieke voorfrontliniedienste en by uitbreiding die mense van ons provinsie te beskerm teen die begrotingsbloedbad wat deur die ANC se nasionale regering veroorsaak is. Ten spyte van die inperkings en beperkings het die Wes-Kaap inderdaad 'n begroting saamgestel om ons gemeenskappe te beskerm en ons toekoms te bou. Agbare voorsitter, die Wes-Kaapse provinsiale parlement is ongelukkig nie deur die begrotingsbloedbad gespaar nie. Die provinsiale parlement het 'n verhoging van 863.000 in die begrotingstoewysing van 187.678.000 in die 2022-23 finansiële tydperk gesien, wat neerkom op 'n toename van 0,45% vir hierdie finansiële jaar. Dit is egter die besnoeiings wat die Wes-Kaapse wetgewer moes verduur om te verseker dat ander dienste wat deur die publiek in die gesig gestaar word, befonds word. Agbare voorsitter, onder program 1, bestuur, leierskap en administrasie, 830.000 is aan die provinsiale inkomstefonds oorgegee ten opsigte van kuberveiligheidsgelde wat herverdeel sal word aan die 2025-26 kuberveiligheidsbegroting, Program 3, die openbare betrokkenheid, het 'n algehele afname van 1,877 miljoen gehad wat verder soos volg opgedeel is. 1,7 miljoen is aan die PIF oorgegee ten opsigte van die digitale aanlyn platform begroting wat herverdeel sal word om die 2024-25 begroting aan te vul. Voorsitter, R500 000 is aan die PIF oorgegee ten opsigte van die 2023-24 digitale aanlyn platform begroting wat herverdeel sal word om die 2024-25 begroting aan te vul. En 3,5 miljoen is aan die PIF oorgegee ten opsigte van die besparings wat in 2023-24 geïdentifiseer is teen vergoeding van werknemers wat hertoegewys sal word om die 2025-26 begroting aan te vul. Hierdie besnoeiings is 'n ongelukkige gevolg van die fiskale krisis waarin Suid-Afrika haar bevind. Maar dit is nie die eerste keer dat die provinsiale parlement moeilike finansiële omstandighede moes oorbrug nie. Agbare voorsitter, soos ons tydens COVID gesien het, is hierdie wetgewer veerkragtig en ons sal hierdie fyn beperkings navigeer deur soos nog altyd te verseker dat ons die mense van die Wes-Kaap eerste stel. Agbare voorsitter, ek wil afsluit deur my opregte dank oor te dra aan die leierskap, die speaker, die adjunkspeaker, alle personeel van die Wes-Kaapse provinsiale parlement. Hulle se toewyding en bydraes word opreg waardeer en dis hoekom die Wes-Kaapse provinsiale parlement werk. Namens die Demokratiese Alliansie ondersteun ek hierdie begrotingspos 2 soos voorgelê in die Wes-Kaapse provinsiale parlement. Agbare voorsitter, ek dank u.
Baie dankie, agbare Keiser Philander. I recognize the Honourable Dylan Mitchell.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker, Chair, and thank you to all the contributions in this debate. Chair, I just want to make three general comments. I'm not going to get into the political debate because it's got nothing to do with the vote, so I'm going to stick to the vote. But there's 3 points that I would like to make. The first is that the Western Cape Provincial Parliament, like parliaments, have got 3 constitutional mandates. And if you look at the budget, and if the members looked at the budget, they will see that the constitutional mandates required from a parliament is being addressed. That is lawmaking, public participation, and oversight of the executive. And in all those constitutional matters, money has been allocated in order to actually address the constitutional mandates. If you look at the committee's budget, that over the last year, with every adjustment, with every saving, has been increased. Public education and outreach. I mean, there's a member that Parliament is not taking public education outreach serious. If you look at the Magali judgment, which I would like to refer the member to, the Western Cape Provincial Parliament is the only legislature, Chair, in this country where the courts ruled that it did adequate public participation. But if we want to speak about public education or public participation, let's look at the DORA that was just passed. With strict timelines, the people of this province, the people of the Western Cape, did not have an opportunity to make inputs into the DORA, but we come here and we speak about public participation and public education that's not being addressed. If you look at the budget, Chair, the 3 constitutional mandates of this Parliament is being addressed. So we can't come here and make blanket statements without having the facts. Chair, then I want to address one other thing. Chair, when we speak about rules and that certain political parties are not being included, the rules committee met. There's a subcommittee that has been established, which is a multi-party committee, Chair, that all political parties had inputs in. Not too long ago, as 2 weeks ago, the rules committee met, and a multi-party committee, a subcommittee, agreed that there's still further amendments to the rules. So I don't know where the rules of political parties are not being incorporated because the process is still ongoing. Chair, with regards to the lighting of the building, there's again, if the honourable member took the time, you would know that there's been directives that has been published with when and how the building will be lit up. So we can't come here and make political blanket statements and expect, because it happens to be the provincial parliament vote, I need to keep quiet about, because it is not just, I mean, you can attack the political leadership of this institution, but do not reflect on the work that is going on behind the scenes from a very competent administration that works tirelessly. That's probably the smallest component in this country, but with the least resources and the least resources. Yes, probably the worst paid in the country, because this is a responsible parliament that do not make commitments outside of a budget that has been appropriated, because that is irresponsible, and that is why this country is in the mess that it is in. Chair, with that being said, I would like to take this opportunity to thank every single staff member of this institution for the work that has gone in, for the amount of effort, for diligently serving the citizens of this province. Thank you very, very much for what you do. And thank you very much for the amount of support that all members, all 42 members of this parliament is receiving from the Western Cape Provincial Administration. Thank you very, very much for the work that you do. To the Secretary and the SMT, thank you. Thank you for giving effect to the strategic objectives. We have gone back to the basics. Thank you very much for embracing that. Thank you for understanding that we have got a constitutional mandate, and that we don't move away from what we are mandated to do. Daar's niks van glitz and glamour, see. There's absolutely no glitz and glamours in this parliament. Go look at the rest of this country. Not a single glitz and glamour. I mean, we speak about cyber attack. We speak about cyber attack. We can speak about national government departments that get hacked regularly, that with nothing being done, the ICT department or the ICT unit of this institution acted immediately. They even act, Chair, when political parties try to bypass the WCPP infrastructure, then they even interact, or they get into it. So thank you very, very much to Mr. Skrikker and his team, who work tirelessly, and that I can comfortably say have addressed the issue of cybersecurity. Thank you for taking it seriously, and for the amount of hours and dedication that went into that. No, not at all. Chair, I don't feel guilty. Because in this parliament, we have proven that we are the best run in this province. And mark my words, there's not a single legislature that can come close to this. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you. Thank you, Honourable Mitchell. Thank you. Thank you, honourable members. Thank you, honourable members. Thank you, Honourable Nkondlo. Thank you. Thank you, Honourable Nkondlo. There are speaking times allocated in this house. Thank you. Thank you, honourable members. That deals with vote number 2. That concludes the debate and the business for the day. The Secretary will now exit the meeting, and all members will also be exited from this sitting. The House is adjourned.